Creator of the universe, there is no God but you. Great and wonderful are your works, wondrous are your ways. Thank you for the many splendored variety of your creation. Thank you for the many ways we affirm your presence and purpose, and the freedom to do so. Forgive our violation of your creation. Forgive our violence toward each other. We stand in awe and gratitude for your persistent love for each and all of your children. Grant to all and our leaders attributes of the strong mutual respect in words and deed, the strength in the exercise of power, and the will for peace with justice for all. Grant us success in our endeavor and for the success of this activity, so that we may bring honor and praise to you. Eternal God, Creator of the universe, there is no God but you. Amen.
To ensure the smooth conduct of the forum,
be empowered and effective partners of the nation's development. Take part in building a promising future for our communities.
Maimbag ang malem maya paabak, marhay na adlaw, maayong buntag, maayong aga at magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat, and welcome to the Philippine Local Governance Forum 2021 with the theme, The Wonders of Devolution, 30 Years of Strong and Empowered Local Governments. Live from the city of San
Recording in
Fernando,
progress.
Pampanga, I am Mabi Castro from the DILG Region 3, and I will be your host for this morning's activity. This October, we are celebrating the Local Government Month, and we are now celebrating the 30th anniversary of the Local Government Code. Saludo po kami sa lahat ng local officials, lahat ng mga local government stakeholders, as well as lahat ng mga tauhan sa ating komunidad who are working hand in hand, who are working relentlessly in pursuit of good local governance towards local and national development. Mabuhay kayo po, kayo pong lahat, mabuhay po kayo. Kayo ang aming katuwang sa tapat na pamamahala at paglilingkod para sa bayan. The Philippine Local Governance Forum is an annual offering of the DILG together with the DILG bureaus, the Local Government Academy, and the DILG regional offices through their LGRCs to support and guide the LGUs in transitioning into full devolution, making well-informed decisions, and performing their key roles effectively in achieving good local governance excellence. As promoted, meron po tayong, this forum will highlight 3 key areas. First po would be empowerment, second would be participation, and thirdly would be capacity development. This is vis-a-vis the local governance areas and the processes that we've had in the past 30 years of our local government code. Muli, welcome to the third leg of the Philippine Local Governance Forum 2021. Bago po tayo dumako sa ating mga speakers sa araw na ito, of course, may I call on our DILG Region 3 Assistant Regional Director, J. Timbresa, to give you a brief recap on our previous session. Our ARDJ, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mabi. And good morning po sa ating lahat. And it is my honor to do this recapitulation of the previous LG Forum held on October 14, 2021. Deepening the discussion on resource allocation efficiency in the last 30 years, Director John Aris Macaspa of the Department of Budget and Management. The key message of this presentation was to appreciate best ways on how to efficiently allocate resources in time with the full devolution in 2022. The director emphasized that full devolution is the measure to mitigate the fiscal impact of the Mandanas ruling. Thus, we need to help the local government units be ready with this devolution. The coordination among key agencies is also important to set the tone for the smooth transition towards full devolution. We quote the director said, "We are not devolving new or additional functions to local government units. We are just fully implementing those code-mandated functions." For years, the national government agencies have been implementing these select PPAs due to the lack of technical and manpower resources in the local government units. With the implementation of the Mandanas ruling, these functions will then be fully assumed by the local government units. There was also Growth Equity Fund, or the GEF, that was discussed by the director, and the GEF is intended to address the disparities of the fiscal differences of the local government units. Not all local government units, however, will be allocated with the GEF. Priority will be given to poor and lagging local government units. There is already an initial amount computed, but this may increase or decrease depending on the final approved amount. There will be no forced transfer from the national government agencies to local government units. There will also be no forced termination or layoff of affected national government agency personnel. Should the national government agency personnel apply to local government unit, she will follow the regular recruitment process and the standard salary grade schedule of the position she applied for. The PS limitation of a local government unit is proposed to be waived for the additional personnel that may be hired by the local government units. This will be included in the fiscal year 2022 National Expenditure Program, which shall be subject to budget authorization legislation by Congress. Once approved, DBM, in coordination with the DILG, will issue the appropriate guidelines for it. Okay, we also had stories shared during that recent forum, stories of full devolution. And the key message of these stories was to showcase inspirational leadership stories and testimonies proving that the devolution works. And as our resource person, we had Mayor Lamberto Llamera Jr. of Libho Dinagat Island. The mayor said the local government code of 1991 provided an impetus for them to chart their own destiny. Libho benefited from the fruits of the mining industry. However, the local government units shifted to tourism development as a more sustainable source of income. The pandemic slowed down the local government units' activities. They know where to invest resources to be able, to invest resources to be able to bounce back. LIBHO's good performance in project implementation earned the support from national government. Hence, they receive funds to finance projects in their own investment plan. Next slide, please. We also had story. The secret of LIBHO's success is not engaging in too much politics, striving to strike a balance and maintain healthy relationship between the executive and legislative departments at all levels, especially the barangays. LIBHO's leadership encourages transparency in decision-making with the participation of all stakeholders, especially the civil society organization. The evolution is an enabling factor that has led LIBHO to where it is today. Another story came from the City Planning Development Coordinator, Oriel E.S. Corios of Surigao City. In the 1990s, Surigao City locally generated income came from traditional sources only, and these were business and the LPT. And these income resources were not enough. The local government unit developed its LEAD program, or Local Economic Enterprise Development Program, focusing on increasing locally generated income, modernizing facilities to boost business activities. Gradually, implementing this program, they saw improvement in the local economic enterprises, leading to enhancement of basic services to constituents. One of the key strategies used is the so-called goodwill money, as was the case of the first commercial bidding, where would-be occupants provided goodwill money to help complete the structure. For sustainability, the local government unit consistently reviewed the performance, effectiveness, efficiency of their program and did measures such as redesigning to make it better. Another story came from Mayor Jose Marie L. Diaz of the city of Iligan. The city of Iligan is the fourth largest city in the Philippines that developed from a non-relevant local government unit to an economically significant local government unit in the region. The LGU implemented massive fiscal reforms resulting in the visible growth and improvement of the city, as seen through the construction and operations of various public infrastructures and consistent receipt of recognition from various government awards program. The city focused on initiatives particularly on health, agriculture, business, and education. Multi-stakeholder involvement was practiced in planning, implementation, and monitoring and evaluation. Prudence in resource allocation was the key. Next slide, please. Another story came from Mayor Jefferson Soriano of Tuguegarao City, and the mayor shared that proper resource allocation will allow local government units to address their needs as well as offer assistance to other local government units. Tuguegarao City engaged in a multifaceted approach, practiced vigorous tax collection, developed e-governance program, established itself as an educational center, participated in a Big Brother program. The LGU, so the local government code, are the cutting edge of local governance in the country. Tuguegarao City redesigned its local plans to align it directly with the SDGs. The local government unit had the lowest ERA in the region, but compensated it with local revenues. The city investment code was put in place and proved effective in fostering a business-friendly environment. The city is now exploring ways to further improve their investment for digital connectivity by partnering with local university and Nanyang University of Singapore to improve their integrated command center, hoping to serve more areas around it. And now, here is the synthesis provided by the DIG Region 2 ARDLP Juntorwin during the roundtable discussion. On full devolution, it was noted that there are no changes in the division of the national tax allocation among local government units. It was also noted or emphasized that no forced transfer of national government agencies personnel. It was also discussed that it was important to delineate the rules and functions between non-government agencies and local government agencies to maximize the wisdom of the full devolution. It was also necessary and suggested in the roundtable discussion to include COVID-19 response in the local plans and budget. And there is much anticipation on the waiver of PS limitations being proposed by DBM so that the local government units will be given more legroom to initiate organizational development in their locality. On LGU success stories, monitoring and evaluation of local government units' performance should be results-based. There are ways via local taxation to generate revenue to complement the national tax allocations. And it was also emphasized during the discussion that the strong link between planning and budgeting helps organize and clarify the development direction of the local government units. Visionary, determined, and process-oriented leadership is very important in the success of our local government units. Okay, there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. The main messages that we had in the recent local government forum held on October 14, 2021. Over to you, Mabi.
Maraming salamat po, ARDJ. Totoo nga po, naging mas fruitful po ang ating mga past previous sessions, and mas I believe na magiging fruitful din po ang ating session para sa araw na ito. Pero may naiiba lang po tayo ng bahagya. Meron po tayong konting pakulo para sa ating mga participants sa araw na ito. So, bibigyan po natin, upang mapagbigay po natin ang aming lubos na pasasalamat sa pag-attend po ninyo sa activity na ito, may opportunity po ang ating mga participants na ma-feature during sa ating live session ngayon sa araw na ito. Mangyari po lamang na mag-post po tayo sa ating Facebook account na may hashtag PLGF 2021 na may hashtag PLGF 2021. Pakipublic lamang po ang mga post na ito. Ang mga post na po ito ay pwedeng mga selfies, mga photos na nag-tune in po kayo or nanonood sa ating live session sa araw na ito. Pwede rin pong itong post patungkol sa ating mga natutunan at gustong matutunan sa mga live sessions natin for the coming days po ahead. So muli, we're looking forward po sa inyong mga submissions, sa inyong mga kanya-kanyang Facebook accounts at mapipili po ang mga creative or ang pinakamaganda na mga posts mamaya at i-feature po natin to during today sa ating session sa araw na ito. Alright po, maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat. Maraming salamat po, ARDJ. Today, we will now formally start our third session of the Philippine Local Governance Forum entitled Synergy in Local Governance, Local Edition. Siyempre po, we have invited the best resource persons to impart ang mga kanilang natutunan at ang kanya-kanya nilang mga istorya sa larangan ng good local governance. Naniniwala po kami that these are strong manifestations na nangyayari po ang devolution even at the community level. And naniniwala din po kami na ang mga local government units may draw inspiration, ma-inspire po sila lubusan as we prepare for the full devolution on 2022. Alright, to start off our activity strong, may I now call on the Director of the National Barangay Operations Office, Director Dennis Villaseñor, to introduce our keynote speaker. Alright po, ayan. The floor is yours, Director Villaseñor.
Thank you, Mabi. Magandang umaga po sa ating lahat. Mayong buntag sa ating mga kasama from the Central and Southern Philippines. Mayapayabak po sa mga taga Central Luzon. At naimbag na aldaw kada kayo amin po from the Cordilleras where our keynote speaker once served as its regional director. Yusek Marlo hails from Tugigaraw, Cagayan, and is a product of the St. Louis College with a degree in civil engineering. Has been with the government for many years, starting as a junior statistician of the department in the Department of Agrarian Reform, then as local government operations officers, all the way up to becoming a career executive official in the Department of the Interior and Local Government. Our keynote speakers rose from the ranks, beginning his career with the then Department of Local Government as Barangay Government Operations Officer. He then became the Provincial Director of the Province of Cagayan and served as the Assistant Regional Director in the same region. From 2013, he served as OIC in DILG Region 2 as its Regional Director and later became a full-fledged regional director in 2015. From 2016 to 2021, he was reassigned as the regional director of the DILG Cordillera Administrative Region or CAR. Early this year, he was designated as OIC, Undersecretary for Local Government of the DILG, and last March, he was appointed as full-fledged Undersecretary. With his solid experience in field operations and program implementation, we believe that his perspective will sharpen and make more responsive the policies and directions affecting local governments as the country pushes forward for the implementation of full devolution as a result of the implementation of the Supreme Court ruling. And as the country continues with its building efforts, our keynote speaker is actively in the forefront of all these initiatives. Ladies and gentlemen, let us all welcome the Undersecretary for Local Government, Engineer Marlo Iringan.
Assistant Secretary Jocelyn Iwane of the Department of Social Welfare Development, Governor Albert Garcia of the Province of Bataan, Mayor Arlene Arcillas of Santa Rosa City, Laguna, Mayor Freddy Domingo Pura Tarlac, Punong Barangay Menchi Rosario, Barangay Libertad, Butuan City, DILG officials, sa ating mga lingkod bayan mula sa lahat ng lalawigan, lungsod, bayan at barangay, sa mga kawani ng iba't ibang ahensya ng gobyerno, sa lahat ng sektor at sa lahat ng ating mga kababayan na nakikiisa sa ating pagdiriwang ng ika-30 taong anibersaryo ng local government code. Isang mapagpala at makabuluhang araw po sa ating lahat. In 1991, the local government code mandated the devolution of basic services to the local government units. This was anchored on the premise that the local government units are in a better position to address the needs of their constituents and can therefore deliver better services to them. 30 years after, with the issuance of Executive Order 138 on June 1, 2021, the persistent clamor of LGUs to finally implement the full devolution of powers and resources mandated by the Local Government Code of 1991 will finally happen. With full devolution, a lot of good things are coming our LGUs way starting 2022. Aside from being a testament to our commitment to local economy, it also offers great promise towards addressing marginalization, equity, and accountability. Relatedly, the session of the Philippine Local Governance Forum 2021 will showcase national, regional, and local efforts in fostering excellence in local governance through the whole of government approach. This is in recognition of the importance of strong coordination and cooperation between and among national agencies and local government units towards achieving sustained economic growth and progress in human development. Tulad ng kahit anumang gawain, hindi maitatanggi ang posibilidad na may mga kakaharapin tayong pagsubok sa implementasyon ng full devolution. Subalit makakaasa po kayo ng DILG, maging ang iba pang mga kagawaran ng nasyonal na pamahalaan ay naririto upang kayo ay gabayan at tulungan na mas palakasin ang inyong mga kakayahan upang mas maiangat ang antas ng inyong serbisyo sa inyong mga nasasakupan. Now, more than ever, the different levels of government need to collaborate and ensure that lines are aligned and important government functions are properly turned over to our local government units. Rest assured that the national government will work with you to transition smoothly by providing necessary capacity development interventions. Moreover, a total of 10 billion pesos is allocated for the Growth Equity Fund to cover the funding requirements of programs, projects, and activities of poor, disadvantaged, and lagging LGUs to gradually enable the full and efficient implementation of the devolved functions and services. These mechanisms are put in place to ensure that no one is left behind. Sama-sama po nating pagsumikapan na mas palakasin ang kakayahan ng bawat lalawigan, bawat bayan, lungsod at barangay upang sama-sama din natin makamit ang adhikain ng bawat Pilipino na magkaroon ng matatag, maginhawa at panatag na buhay gaya ng nasasaad sa ambisyon natin 2040. Ngayong umaga ay marami tayong mga panauhin na magbabahagi ng kanilang mga karanasan patungkol sa ating tema sa araw na ito, ang Synergy in Local Governance Local Edition. At this time, we would like to congratulate the men and women of the Local Government Academy, the National Barangay Operations Office, the Local Governance Regional Research Centers of DILG Regions 3 and Calabarzon, and the national government agencies and local government units who took up the challenge to be part of this worthy initiative. Bilang pagtatapos, taas noong pagpupugay po sa ating mga lokal na pamahalaan para sa inyong dedikasyon sa paglilingkod sa gitna ng laban natin sa COVID-19. Muli, maraming salamat at magandang umaga. Mabuhay po kayong lahat.
Maraming salamat po, Undersecretary Marlo Iringan. Tama nga po siya, no one is left behind. So next year po or for the coming days po, mas mapapaigting pa po natin ang pag-strengthen ng regional and local governance in recognizing ang kontribusyon ng various stakeholders, local partners towards full devolution. Ito po ay isang kooperasyon mula sa national hanggang sa barangay level. So mamaya po, mas malubusan po natin maiintindihan ang connection na ito sa mga iba't ibang storya galing sa local level. So simulan po natin. Ang ating first speaker naman po sa araw na ito ay mag-highlight ng kontribusyon ng national government efforts and contributions towards devolution and in pursuit of good local governance. Sa larangan naman po ng social services, may I call on the Assistant Secretary of the Department of Social Welfare and Development, Assistant Secretary Jocelyn Nuwane. Let's give her a virtual round of applause.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for that kind introduction. Of course, to our Undersecretary Marlo Iringan, my kababayan and CAR, fellow workers in government, participants of today's Philippine Local Government Forum, good morning. Thank you for the opportunity to share with you the efforts and initiatives of the Department of Social Welfare and Development in improving services for the LGUs towards strengthening decentralization. To start, allow me to highlight the DSWD's transition strategy pursuant to the provisions of Executive Order 138 series of 2021. Next slide, please. For 2022, we shall start with the devolution of the assistance to persons with disabilities, comprehensive project for street children, and transition of programs for older persons to the National Commission on Senior Citizens. The DSWD implementation of the supplementary feeding program will cover the 5th and 6th class municipalities as well as the 36 priority provinces under the Philippine Plan of Action for Nutrition or PPAN 2017-2022 and municipalities identified by the Philippine Multi-Sectoral Nutrition Project. By 2023, we will devolve the assistance to individuals in crisis situation and distressed and for internal and regional clients. The referral as part of the regular protective services program for clients seeking medical assistance for specialized medication due to life-threatening and catastrophic diseases or needing long-term medical interventions, food and non-food assistance, transportation assistance, and other cash assistance. The DSWD will also maintain the management of the financial assistance provided in established malasakit centers per RA number 11463. Next slide, please. LGUs with the full devolution and execution of the Mandanas ruling in 2022, the bigger budgets, the LGUs are now expected to assume greater responsibility in the delivery of services, wider latitude to make vital decisions in governing their local communities. The LGUs must undertake the necessary actions to prepare for their greater role, and as such, the LGUs need to further strengthen their capabilities, especially along the areas of local government planning, public finance management, monitoring and evaluation, project management, and community mobilization and participation. Moreover, capacity building on the financial process, budgeting, investment, and programming for resource mobilization shall also be included to ensure that the ERA allocation for basic services and facilities is utilized effectively and efficiently, as well as to ensure that these are in accordance with Section 17 of the Local Government Code and other relevant laws of devolution. The reason why I am highlighting this is because the DSWD will also be expected to provide technical assistance and support to these capacity building interventions, particularly ensuring the continuity of implementation of the social welfare services to be devolved come 2022, as well as for the LGUs also to have a deeper appreciation on the need to sustain interventions along social welfare and development. Next slide, please. The capacity development strategy of the department will highlight the provision of technical assistance of the DSWD Central and Field Office through the Technical Assistance and Resource Augmentation, or TARA, focal persons. This will complement the learning development interventions in the devolution transition plan of the LGUs come 2022. The DSWD will focus on the foundational components in the implementation of social welfare services. From first quarter to fourth quarter, capacity building such as orientation, training, and workshops are all lined up in the technical assistance plan of the department. We are also dedicated to the establishment of the Social Welfare and Development Learning Institute, in which the office will provide standardized social welfare and development learning programs, services, and activities for social welfare development professionals and various stakeholders in the support to the department's technical assistance, capacity building, and social welfare services to be devolved are already for printing, and this will be cascaded to all LGUs to guide LSWDOs or local social welfare and development offices in particular in the implementation of these programs. Let me provide you some of the capacity development agenda for LGUs. Next slide. For 2022, as the LGU starts the implementation of the programs such as comprehensive program for street children, assistance to persons with disabilities, and scaling down of supplementary feeding, we had program funds for the plans for the series of capability buildings for all service providers, such as orientation on the specific program implementation of the program for street children, to include the protocol to reach out operation, ECCD training, and learning sections or sessions for indigenous peoples. For the assistance to persons with disabilities, the strengthening the establishment of the Persons with Disabilities Affairs Office, and the orientation of the guidelines on the assistance to persons with disabilities will be for the focals, or this will also be our focus. For supplementary feeding program, the DSWD will undertake more on the provision of technical assistance and designed capability building for service providers for children development workers and supervised neighborhood play workers, or these are our daycare workers as we all understood it. For the RRPTP, please next slide. Capacity building on proper handling of persons trafficked victim survivors from the rescue and reintegration case management provision of temporary shelter and familiarization on the national referral system for the recovery and reintegration of trafficked persons. For the AICS, orientation on the provision on AICS to include use of documents, processes of payment, identification of fraudulent documents, among others. An introduction on the use of electronic scheduling, digital payout, and remote assessment will be the topic of the capacity building or capability building. While for the Sustainable Livelihood Program, we had designed various leadership or learning development instruments on the components of the program, which will be devolved particularly on the 2024, along with our Kalahisids. This capacity development agenda for LGUs can be the reference in the finalization of the capacity development agenda in the respective development transition plans. Next slide. We would like to show you, this is actually for referral or your reference for our LSWDOs in coming up with their structure. So once you plan for restructuring, you can use this as your reference. So this is as part of the efforts conducted by the DSWD. Presented on the screen is the proposed structure of the local social welfare development offices as a product of the conducted consultations at the provincial, city, and municipal level. Next slide, please. So this is for the city and municipal level. You can look at it. If this is okay with the LGU, then they can use this as reference, or they could adopt it in total. Next slide, please. From the national level, we have the Committee on Devolution, which shall oversee and monitor the implementation of administrative and fiscal decentralization goals, evaluate the status and monitor the implementations of the DTPs, and ensure compliance of officials, resolve issues and concerns that may arise, ensure the elimination of any regulatory or fiscal controls on the automatic release of LGU share on the national taxes, and adopt mechanisms to ensure continuous delivery of public services, especially for the DSWD services that will be devolved or redevolved again during the transition period of the full devolution. From the regional level, the counterpart will be the Regional Subcommittee on Devolution, which is a special committee in the Regional Development Council, as you all know. From the DSWD internal structure, we have Devolution Transition Committee, and the most accessible among these are our DSWD Field Office Technical Assistance and Resource Augmentation Focal Persons. So if you have any queries relative to this, our regional offices are ready to respond to your queries or questions or clarifications. Next slide, please. With this big shift, the key is that we open ourselves to these changes and be ready to transform the challenge into opportunities for growth. Opportunities which include more beneficiaries will be able to access and benefit from the social welfare programs since more funds will be directly channeled to the LGUs, and the LGUs are now more empowered to implement and deliver basic services to benefit the poor and the vulnerable. The devolution represents opportunities for strengthen and put in place policies to sustain functional social welfare systems that are more inclusive and responsive to the needs of the community, so that it will ensure that no one is left behind. New performance management arrangement between national and local government to focus on the quality standard delivery of services will be conducted. The Dswd will look into the functionality of the local social welfare and development offices, which serves as a tool to assess so we can better identify the support and technical assistance that we can provide to the LGUs in the improvement of their performance. In the same manner, the LGUs will be further capacitated and will have deeper appreciation on how these tools can help in responding to the gaps in service delivery. We have the opportunity to develop the competence of all LGUs, personnel, as well as NGAs through the capacity development agenda on the devolution transition plan, strengthening the social service workforce in a driving force to warrant successful implementation and service delivery. The devolution also provided for supervision mechanisms to LGUs. Next slide. Indeed, we acknowledge the need to strengthen the convergence of sectoral priorities to reach better outcomes. In this regard, we respectfully propose to the following recommendations for your utmost consideration. For the local government to comply with the standards of service delivery. We are aware that most of programs catering to our vulnerable sectors are already being implemented by our LGUs as stated earlier. There is no new devolution, but it is just that we will have to transfer and the national government will have to cease doing these programs. Based on the results of the mapping activity, we saw that the LGUs are ready to handle all of this. The manual of operations that is being developed by the Dswd aims to guide LGUs following the required standard in the implementation of social welfare services by 2022 to maximize the gains of our target beneficiaries. We acknowledge that the LGUs have different levels of capacities and performance. On this, targeted assistance to LGUs and development phase approaches to transition the full devolution of the services shall be provided. That is why you may notice, like for the reintegration and about our RRPTP, or this is for our traffic persons. For instance, the services will be offered first to priority LGUs with a high incidence of trafficking, and for the supplementary feeding, we need to augment and assist the 5th and 6th class municipalities. There is also a need to maintain and ensure convergence between the local government units and the NGAs to maximize the utilization of available resources and mobilize stakeholders to ensure that efforts have greater impact to intended beneficiaries. At present, the Devolution Transition Committee of the Dswd, in coordination with DILG and DBM, is formulating its joint memorandum circular or any similar policy in the institutionalization of the Dswd services. Once again, thank you very much for your kind attention, and we hope you could be able to help one another for us to be able to come up with this transition. This ends my presentation. So thank you very much, ma'am, sirs, for listening.
Maraming salamat po, ASEC Niwane. Maraming salamat po. So tama nga po siya. So next year po, upon the implementation po ng ating EO 138, makikita po natin na mas mapapaigting palalo ang ating mga social welfare programs dyan po sa ating mga local government units, sa ating mga kanya-kanyang lokalidad. So maraming salamat po, ASEC Niwane. So susunod naman po, she will discuss the dynamics between the oversight agencies, national government agencies, and local government units. Ang ating next speaker po ay isang OIC Regional Director of the Department of Budget Management Regional Office, Calabarzon. She began her stint with DBM since 1986. She had obtained her bachelor's degree from Polytechnic University of the Philippines and master's degree from the Pamantasan ng Lungsod ng Maynila. She has involved herself in various DBM-led projects for local government units, such as the LGU's Public Financial Management, a project funded by the European Union. She was also part of the technical working group in the initial development of the e-budget system. To date, she is a member of technical working groups on enhancing the competency ng ating mga local budget officers and upgrading ng ating e-budget system. These are projects funded by the Asian Development Bank. It is an honor for us to have here the DBM Regional Director of Calabarzon, OICRD Nympha R. Manalastas.
Okay. To all the honorable mayors, to the representative of the regional agencies, to the private sectors, to our partner agencies, to all the guests and colleagues in the government, magandang umaga po. Executive Order number 138 issued by the President guaranteed that the national government is fully committed to the policy of decentralization enshrined in the Constitution and relevant laws, which are aimed, first, developing the capabilities of local government to deliver basic services and critical facilities to their constituents, increase productivity and employment, and promote local economic growth. Second, ensuring accountability, competence, professionalism, and transparency of local leaders through the development of institutional systems that uphold good governance and strengthen their capacities for managing resources. Section 6 of Executive Order number 138 designated the Department of Budget and Management and the Department of the Interior and Local Government to chair and co-chair the Committee on Devolution and mirrored it at the regional level or the regional COMDEV. But in reality, the DBM and the DILG have distinct but complementary roles in the COMDEV. The DBM coordinates and monitors the issues and activities at the national, regional level, while the DILG coordinates and monitors the issues and activities at the local level. The members of COMDEV shall ensure that the PPAs will no longer be funded at the national level, will be provided at the local level. With the assistance of the regional line agencies and the Regional Development Council, we are confident of the continuous provision of necessary services to the community. For the devolution to be more effective, the regional line agencies, the LGUs, and members from the Regional Development Council, sectoral committees, and leagues of local government units should work hand in hand. The regional line agencies to support the developmental requirements of the local government units, the LGUs to identify and undertake their capacity building requirements to provide better, if not the best service to their constituents, and the PSR and representative of the leagues to check and ensure that the developmental requirements of the LGUs will benefit the greater majority. The DBM introduced several public financial management reforms in order to achieve inclusive growth. Particularly, our office can assist the LGU in the preparation of medium-term revenue forecasts of current operating expenditure and capital outlay, which will be used as inputs to finalize the local development investment program, or to state it simply, budget prioritization that will hasten the developmental growth of the LGUs. The DBM may continuously support the devolution transition of the LGUs by providing capacity development to the financial managers or the local development committee members. Further, we have reference materials that may guide the LGUs in strengthening its policy-based budgeting, like the Budget Operations Manual for LGUs and Barangay Budget Operations Manual, Manual on Setting Up of Local Economic Enterprise, Internal Audit Manual for LGUs, and Handbook on CSO participation in the budgeting process. In addition, the DBM could also provide technical assistance in the preparation of the organizational structure and staffing pattern of the LGUs. The DBM also established a mechanism to monitor the LGU's financial performance and status of service delivery. Local Budget Circular Number 101, issued on October 12, 2012, prescribed the use of Public Financial Management Tool, or PFMAT, for the timely PFM assessment and PFM improvement planning of the LGUs. These activities have already been institutionalized. LGUs regularly conduct their PFM assessment every 3 years or every election year. The DBM monitors by conducting on-site validation or desk validation to assist, advise the LGUs on their PFM improvement. As a reward to a sound PFM system, the DBM certifies to the compliance of LGU to this activity, which is one of the considerations in the grant of additional funding to LGUs. Communication and engagement among the member agencies and the LGUs are essential in this devolution process. LGUs should inform the COMDEV of their issues and concerns in order for the COMDEV to make an immediate action to resolve the matter. I think this is the most opportune time to focus on developmental goals of the LGUs and the region so that no one will be left behind. Ika nga, angat lokal dapat. The NGAs, the regional line agencies, shall establish a mechanism to help the LGUs to calibrate their service delivery and measure their performance in such a way we can prepare them to bigger responsibilities in 2025. LGUs should actively engage the help of the regional line agencies in the preparation of their devolution transition plan to come up with holistic roadmap for the years ahead. Let us have a real talk. Tell us your concerns and tell us your priorities. Most importantly, let us know what your capabilities are and the directions you need to go. Finally, aspire to move up higher, not because you have more provisions to implement programs, project activities, but because you believe that your people, your community deserves more, and we, in the national and the local government, have responsibilities to help them improve their lives. Maraming salamat po.
Maraming salamat po, OIC RD Limpa Manalastas. Tama nga po siya, mas malaki po ang responsibilidad natin sa susunod na taon bilang iba na po ang ating mga serbisyo na ibibigay sa nakababang level. So dapat mas empowered and strengthen po ang ating mga local government units. Tama nga rin po siya, binigyan din po tayo ng oportunidad na maintindihan ang importansya ng coherence and communication as driving forces towards good governance. So nariyan po ang iba't ibang national line agencies upang itaguyod at tulungan po kayo sa ating transition towards full devolution sa 2022. Sa susunod naman po, he will discuss the initiatives ng devolution in making health devolution work. Sa larangan naman po ng kalusugan, may I call on the Program Manager and the DTP Focal Person of the Department of Health, Central Luzon, Center for Health Development, isa pong medical professional, isa pong health worker. Nariyan po si Mr. Eric Paul M. Yumol. Mr. Yumol, the floor is yours. Alright po, okay na po tayo. Alright po, thank you po so much again. Nagpi-feedback lang po ng bahagya. Alright po, mukhang okay na po. The virtual floor is yours, Mr. Yumod. Maraming salamat po.
Ma'am, will you be sharing my slides po? Hello. Ayan. Yan, again, isang magandang umaga po sa lahat po ng ating attendees for this activity. And we would like to thank the DILG for inviting us po to present the DOH Devolution Transition Plan for year 2022 to 2024. So I will be presenting po yung inception, yung ginamit natin na slide during the inception workshop with our LGUs. Sige po, next slide. And for the presentation outline, we will be having the overview of the DOH Devolution Transition Plan, the principles of the retention of the DOH functions, the expenditures assignment on health, definition on terms, and then a summary of retained and redevolved functions, detailed health functions to be redevolved, unbundling of functions to each level of government, then capacity building initiatives for LGUs in the context of full devolution of health services and recommended structure, including the staffing pattern complement for the PHO-CHO and the municipal level, then update on the cascade for the DOH Devolution Transition Plan for 2022 to 2024. And for this slide po, currently, the health system has a devolved setup as per Section 17 of the Local Government Code for several functions in the delivery of basic services and goods, including primary health services, were already devolved to the LGU since 1991. We would like to emphasize that the redevolution does not necessarily mean downloading of funds from the national government agencies to the local government units, but redevolution of functions performed by national government agencies to local government units based on the local government code. The basis for the redevolution of functions of selected DOH program activities and projects considers the LGU income class, poverty incidence, capacity of LGUs, availability of services or commodities in the local market, including implementation of the Universal Healthcare Act and other pertinent laws. Lastly, the DOH, hospitals, and other national health facilities, attached agencies, and corporation of the Department of Health, such as the National Nutrition Council, the PhilHealth, the NKTI, the Lung Center of the Philippines, the PCMC, the PHC, and the PTAC, will not be affected by the redevolution of functions from national government agencies to LGUs. For the principles of, for the retention of functions with DOH, the DOH is the leader in health. The DOH formulates the national policies, plans, technical standards, and guidelines on the health and regulate health services and products. The DOH as an enabler, capacity builder, provides capacity building training through training, HR development, systems development, and technical assistance. We are also the oversight to the corporate hospitals and attached agencies and corporations and administrator of national and regional hospitals and medical centers and other health facilities such as the treatment and rehabilitation centers and blood centers. The UHC Act or the Universal Healthcare Act also mandates the DOH or the Department of Health to finance population-based health services in complementation with the LGUs. Next slide, please. Based on the Section 17 of the Local Government Code, here is the expenditure assignment of health functions per level of local government unit. For the provincial level, we have health services which include hospitals and other tertiary health services. For municipalities, we have health services which include the implementation of programs and projects on primary health care, maternal and child care, and communicable and non-communicable diseases control services, access to secondary and tertiary health services, purchase of medicines, medical supplies and equipment, rehabilitation programs for victims of drug abuse, nutrition services and family planning services, clinics, health centers, and other health facilities necessary to carry out health services. At the city level, all the services and facilities of the municipality and province, and in addition thereto, adequate communication and transportation facilities. At the barangay level, we have the barangay health services, which include the maintenance of barangay health facilities or the barangay health stations. Next slide, please. For the definition of terms po, just to put everyone on the same page, we have used the following terms in our devolution transition plan. For the retained functions with DOH, means maintaining the inherent functions of the DOH. For the partially devolved, pertains to functions that will still be shared between the national government and the local government unit. For example, we have to retain buffer or augmentation for the geographically isolated and disadvantaged areas, or the GDAS. Then gradually devolved means that the devolution of functions will be done in phases for 2022, 2023, and 2024. And fully devolved will refer to the devolution of the entire function or responsibility to the local government units. Next. This slide summarizes the DOH program's activities, projects for the devolution in year 2022 to 2024. For the Health Facilities Enhancement Program, it will be gradually and partially devolved to local government units. Hence, the LGUs, especially those with financial capacity, will be responsible for the funding, support, and procurement of this capital outlay. Under the epidemiology surveillance, the hiring of disease surveillance officers will be partially devolved by 2023. This means that the DSOs, or the disease surveillance officers, are fully devolved to LGUs by 2023, but DSOs in the DOH are still retained for central office, CHDs, or the regional offices, and the provincial DOH offices. Under the human resource for health deployment, the hiring of nurses and midwives will be devolved by 2023 to LGUs. For the public health commodities, the procurement, warehousing, storage, and distribution of commodities to target recipients will be gradually and partially devolved. For the detailed presentation for the first activity or the program, we have the Health Facilities Enhancement Program of the department. The Health Facilities Enhancement Program is mandated to support the universal health care through allocation of capital outlay and procurement of health infrastructure, equipment, and medical transport. The main basis for the redevolution of functions is the poverty incidence classification of provinces, municipalities, and cities from the PSA, or the Philippine Statistics Authority. Poverty incidence is defined by PSA as the proportion of families or individuals with per capita income or expenditure less than the per capita poverty threshold to the total number of families or individuals. The table in the slide summarizes the transition plan of the HFEP, or the Health Facilities Enhancement Program, for devolution based on the poverty incidence. Beginning 2022, the Health Facility Enhancement Program will be redevolved the functions to LGUs to provide funding support and procurement of health infrastructure, equipment, and medical transport to the provinces, cities, and municipalities with lowest poverty incidence under Phase 1. The Phase 2 for the provinces, cities, and municipalities with lower poverty incidence will begin at 2023. Beginning 2024, HFEP will devolve the funding support and procurement of health infrastructure, equipment, and medical transport to those provinces, cities, and municipalities belonging to the middle category of poverty incidence. Those provinces, cities, and municipalities with the highest poverty concentration will be retained with the Department of Health. For the unbundling of functions per level of government, the National Policy and Health Facility Standard Technical Assistance will be retained to the Department of Health. The monitoring and evaluation of projects will still be retained with the Department of Health and also redevolved to the respective provinces, cities, and municipalities. For the funding support and procurement of infrastructure, medical equipment, and motor vehicles for the following facility types: the BHS, or the Barangay Health Station, under the retained LGUs will be under DOH, and the BHS under the devolved LGUs will be under the respective municipalities. The RHU or the Rural Health Units under the LGUs will be under DOH, and for RHUs under the devolved LGUs will be under the respective cities and municipalities. The polyclinic under the retained LGUs will be under the LGUs or under the DOH, and the polyclinic under the redevolved LGUs will be under the respective cities. So yung mga polyclinics po natin, sa city po lang sila situated. The LGU hospitals under the retained LGUs will be under the DOH. For the LGU hospitals under the redevolved LGU will be under the respective province, cities, and municipalities. Next slide. For the hiring of disease surveillance officers, which was formerly known as the Public Health Associates and previously lodged under the Epidemiology and Surveillance Budget line item of the Department of Health in year 2020, the basis for the redevolution is Rule Number 7, Section 2 of the 2020 IRR of RA 11332, or the Mandatory Reporting of Notifiable Diseases and Health Events of Public Health Concern Act. Specifically the following provisions. Each epidemiology and surveillance unit shall have at least one DSO or disease surveillance officer duly trained on applied health epidemiology, and then surveillance and response. The budget requirements for the operations of ESU shall be drawn from the from the annual budget of their respective mother offices. For the unbundling of functions for the DSOs, as per Section 8 of the RA 11332, the DOH, in coordination with the local government units, shall ensure that the epidemiology and surveillance units are established and functional in all levels. For the DOH and its counterparts po, including the LGU counterparts, and in public and private health facilities and laboratories, as well as ports and airports in all the provinces, cities, and municipalities throughout the country. Meanwhile, the hiring of DSOs will be redevolved to province, city, and municipality beginning 2023. The DOH will retain this in 2022 for next year to give time to preparation and consultation to ensure readiness of the LGUs to accept the responsibility and epidemiology and surveillance. There is a need to buy time for capacity development and advocacy, but the retention of the DSOs will be subject to the budget allocation that will be approved by the DBM. DOH initially received the confirmation letter from DBM, and DSOs are not approved in the draft 2022 NEP. But DOH appealed for reconsideration, and this will be subject to DBM's approval. Lastly, the National Policy and Standards Technical Assistance to the PESU, or the Provincial Epidemiology and Surveillance Unit, the CESU, and the MESU, or the Municipal Epidemiology and Surveillance Unit, capacity building and advocacy will be retained under the DOH. However, at the province level, PESU can also provide technical assistance to the CESUs and MESUs, or the City and Municipal Epidemiology and Surveillance Unit. Next slide. Next slide. 10. The hiring of human, third activity for third program for the Department of Health. The hiring of human resources for health must be the responsibility of the LGUs under a devolved setup. LGUs should create the standard staffing pattern based on the functions and recommended ratio of the human resources for health to its population. However, in the Universal Healthcare Act, there is a provision for DOH to provide assistance to the low-income and GIDA areas to deploy and augment the health workforce needs of local public health systems and secure position to hire health professionals and health workforce under the National Health Workforce Support System, or the NHWSS. In this case, certain aspects of the HRH deployment program, including the budget allocation for retained cadres, will be maintained with the Department of Health. Beginning 2023, the hiring of nurses and midwives in the 1st to 4th income class municipalities will be devolved to LGUs except in geographically isolated and disadvantaged areas or the GDAS. Target areas for the peace building efforts that include the LCAC, priority areas for poverty reduction, and those with critical health workers gap. These cadres will be subject for devolution given the low possibility of market failures. Ibig po sabihin, madami po tayong supply ng nurses and midwives na professionals. So for 2022 po, DOH pa rin po yung mag-hire, but come 2023, nurses and midwives, yung LGUs na po natin, belonging to first to fourth income class municipalities, yung mag-hire ng mga nurses and midwives. Next slide. For the unbundling of functions for the HRH deployment program, all cadres will be retained with the Department of Health in year 2022, but the budget allocation will still be subject to the DBM approval. The retained cadres in the phase 1 are the doctors, nurses, midwives, dentists, medical technologies, pharmacists, nutritionists, dietitians, and physical therapists. But beginning 2023, the hiring of nurses and midwives will be redevolved to the first to fourth income class LGUs. These cadres will be subject for devolution given the low possibility of market failure, but a small pot of nurses and midwives will be retained with the Department of Health to deploy and augment in the geographically isolated and disadvantaged areas, target areas for peace-building efforts, priority areas for poverty reduction, and those with critical health workers gap. The formulation of national policy and standards, technical assistance, training or capacity building, and advocacy will be retained with the Department of Health, but the provincial level may also cascade trainings to cities, municipalities, and barangay levels. Likewise, the pre-service, scholarship, and return service for medical and midwifery scholars with DOH in order to ensure the production of health professionals in the country. Next slide, please. Fourth activity for our fourth program will be the procurement of public health commodities. For the procurement of public health commodities, generally, we have the following basis for the retention and redevolution. Retained with the Department of Health are commodities that are internationally procured or with high externalities, such as those that are not available in the local market, examples of which are the commodities under the National Immunization Program. Commodities with economies of scale, or those that are cheaper in price when procured in bulk, like the cancer drugs. Population-based services that need to be consistently implemented, such as vector control measures, individual-based services but still without PhilHealth primary care services package, will be retained until such time that these packages will be developed. Examples are the mental health and oral health commodities. For the redevolved functions po, to the LGUs include procurement, storage, distribution, and monitoring of public health commodities. Next slide po. Ira-run through na lang po natin yung mga sige po, next slide. Yung mga i-redevolve po na functions for the procurement ng medicines. Ayan. Ito po for the family health and responsible. Sige po, next slide. For the Family Health, Nutrition, and Responsible Parenting Program, we have these slides po will be provided sa inyo. Ito po yung mga i-redevolve na sa ating mga LGUs. Like for IMCI, we have the amoxicillin drops and suspension. For 2022 onward, sila na po yung bibili. For the nutrition program, the ferrosulfate and folate, medyo detailed na po yung ibibigay namin na copy. Sige po, next slides po. For the safe motherhood, ayan. Next slide po. Ayan, for the family planning, oral health. Ayan. For the national policy and standards, technical assistance, capacity building, and advocacy, it will be retained po sa DOH. Next slides po. I-run through lang po natin yung sa mga programs para po yung detail. And then this slides po for the prevention and control of communicable diseases program. We have the food and waterborne diseases, then leprosy control, integrated helmet control. Next slide. National Aedes-borne viral diseases prevention and control. filariasis elimination. Next slide po. Then we have the HIV/AIDS, sexually transmitted diseases, and hepatitis. Next po are for the prevention and control of non-communicable diseases program. We have for the cardiovascular diseases and diabetes control. Yan po yung i-revolve na natin at the provincial, city, and municipal level. Sige po, next slide. And for the summary of retained and redevolved functions, for the retained, ito po yung summary lang: environmental and occupational health, national immunization, rabies control, tuberculosis control, soil transmitted helminthiasis, mental health, cancer, oral health, HIV, vector control, then mass drug administration, and medical assistance for indigent patients. Partially devolved po, we have the HRH, deployment, health facilities enhancement. And then for the service delivery standards, sige po. And fully devolved po again will be the hypertension, hypercholesterolemia, leprosy, integrated management of childhood illnesses, and diabetes. Next slide po. And for the service delivery standards po of the redevolved functions, sorry, previous slides po. Ayan, so for this slide po, this is the strategy map of the DOH. What we want po for this, makita lang po na ito po yung i-redevolve natin na functions sa LGUs, yung ating capacity building. And then the succeeding slides naman po are the recommended structure. Ayan, sige po. Sige po, next slide na for the recommended structure. I-run through lang po natin yung recommended structure para po mapakita lang na we also have recommended the ideal or recommended na organizational structure for the health systems of the municipalities, province, and cities to be functional po. Ito po yung recommended natin from DOH. Sige po, next slides. Sige po. Ayan. Yan po at the provincial health office level that we will be having the health service delivery division, the health system support division, and the administrative unit. Sige po, next slide na po. Mag-proceed na po tayo with the updates on the cascade. Sige po. Yan po yung mga recommended natin at the provincial level. Yan naman po, Office of the City, Health Office. Yan at the city level po. Then at the Municipal Health Office, municipal level. Sige po. Then the recommended structure and staffing complement for the PHO, CHO, and MHO, yung naging basis po ng Department of Health are the core versus the non-core functions, the skills, competencies required to perform the functions, then the position titles that are more generic than specific and match with the Index of Occupational Services Standards. Then hierarchy of positions wherein one head of office or unit, one senior level position, and one entry level position. For the main consideration, we have existing structure or the HR complement in the different levels of LGUs does not follow a prescribed organizational structure and staffing. However, LGUs may add more positions depending on the needs of their LGU and local health systems as provided in the local government code. So next slide po, for the update on the DOH. For the DOH Central Luzon, Center for Health Development, Devolution Transition Plan, we created a team for the cascade and orientation po ng ating mga LGUs. Ito lang po yung sample for our regional personnel order that was issued last August 18, 2021 to facilitate the cascade for the DOH Devolution Transition Plan. Sige po, next slide. And I think po yung ating ComDev, nung nagpatawag po sila, the national government agencies are required to have a devolution transition plan team para po ma-make sure yung cascade ng ating mga devolution transition plans. Next slide po. Ayan, for the DOH Region 3 po, we were able to cascade our devolution transition plan last August 23 to 27. Sige po, previous slide. That was participated po by different stakeholders, spearheaded by our Provincial Health Office, Municipal Health Office, and City Health Office. And yung naging schedule po namin is per province siya. Pwede po dun sa previous slide para mapakita lang. Yung schedule. Ayan po. So at the provincial level po, we were able to invite upon conduct ng aming DTP orientation. We have the PHO, the PPDO, the LIPH coordinator, the Universal Healthcare Coordinator, the Finance Officer, the HR, PLGOO, Provincial Administrator, and Procurement Head, including the SP on Health. And then at the municipal level and city level po, yung in-invite po namin are the CHOs and the MHOs, Finance Officer, the HR, the MLGOO, and the SB on Health. Yung naging schedule po natin, August 23, we conducted orientation for the province of Aurora and Zambales. For August 24, Tarlac and Bataan. August 25, province of Bulacan. Then August 26, province of Nueva Ecija, and Pampanga po, August 27. Sige po, next slide. For the agreements po that we have during the orientation, for the local health officers to attend and participate in local planning and prioritize needs based on the redevolved functions presented during the orientation. Also, coordination with the DILG officer and the provincial, municipal, or the city planning development officer for guidance in local planning. And then for the provincial DOH offices to spearhead the cascade of DOH devolution transition plan in the province. Also to provide technical assistance to area of jurisdiction on the DOH devolution transition plan. Ito po, ongoing po ito. We just had our DOH formulation po ng local health plans for the province of Tarlac last week. And ngayon po nag-schedule na sila per province para po mas maintindihan nila yung forms na ibibigay po ng DILG and the PPDO kung paano po ilalagay yung mga na-present ko po na mga redevolved functions. And then for the DOH to continue to provide TA to LGUs and partners on the DOH devolution transition plan for 2022 to 2024. Next slide po. Ayan lang po. For the issues and concerns lang po from the LGUs, actually for the local health officers, involvement in the local planning. Kasi po parang yung ibang LGs po natin, hindi po kasama sa committee yung mga local health officers. So they need to be involved. Kaya po they were instructed and directed po na maki-join po dun sa local planning natin. And then orientation on the forms for DTP formulation, like filling up of the forms. Most of the municipal and city health officers po, hindi po ganun ka-oriented dun sa mga forms. Parang ibibigay na lang po yung forms sa kanila to be filled up. Wala pong formal orientation. And then the PS cap budget concerns po for the discussed na recommended organizational structure. I think that's my last slide po. Thank you very much po for listening.
Maraming salamat po, Mr. Eric Yumul, for sharing your invaluable initiatives ng Department of Health in ensuring that health devolution works. So alam naman po natin kung gaano kahalaga ang kalusugan ng mamamayan, lalo na sa panahon ng pandemya. So maraming salamat po muli. So bago po tayo dumako sa ating open forum, sabi ko nga po kanina, magpe-feature po kami ng mga participants na nakapag-post po sa kanilang kanya-kanyang Facebook accounts na may hashtag PLGF 2021. So team, pwede pong paki-flash lang po. Ayan. So using the hashtag PLGF 2021, narin po ang ating mga participants, si Mr. Frank Dado at si Ms. Guevara. So maraming salamat po. Alam po namin na napaka-busy po ninyo, pero naririto po tayo upang makipag-cooperate, makinig, upang sa ating pagpapahanda sa ating full devolution sa 2022. Muli, mag-post lamang po tayo ng hashtag PLGF 2021 at pakilike na rin po ang page ng DILG Philippines at Local Government Academy. Maraming salamat po at dadako na po tayo sa ating open forum. Ngayon naman po, may I call on my partner from the DILG Calabarzon, Ms. Kitch Gogolin, to be our moderator for the open forum.
Thank you very much, Ms. Mabi. So I am Kitch Gugulin nga po from DILG 4A, and I will serve as your moderator for our session for today. So we are already done with the first part of our program. So narinig naman po natin yung mga presentations ng ating mga resource speakers. Assistant Secretary Jocelyn Niwane from DSWD, presentation on improving services for the LGUs towards strengthening decentralization. OICRD Nympha Manalastas from DBM4A who discussed the dynamics between oversight agency, NGAs, and LGUs, or synergizing local governance in the advent of full devolution, and Mr. Eric Paul Yumol from DOH who discussed the devolution transition plan. So I'd like to request our resource speakers to kindly open our camera so that our participants will be able to see our beautiful and handsome faces. And also to our participants, so bilang tayo po ay nasa open forum na, so we will be accommodating questions that you may have based on the presentations delivered by our resource speakers. So we will be accommodating the questions through our chat box. So kindly type na lang po yung ating mga questions sa ating chat box so that our program management team can flash them on our screens for everyone to see. But before anything else, kamusta po yung ating participants? Are we still good? Are you still here with us po? Pwede po tayo makahingi ng heart reacts from our participants. Ayan, pahingi naman po ng konting pagmamahal from our participants. All right, I see some. How about the others po? Heart reacts lang po. Ayan, thank you very much po. So now I think we are ready to proceed to our open forum. We have a few minutes for this. May I ask our team to kindly flash our questions para po makapag-proceed po tayo sa ating open forum. So I think we have, meron na po tayong nakikitang few questions from our participants. This is addressed po, our first question is addressed to ASEC Jocelyn Niwane. ASEC, the question po is, what do you think are the challenges in transitioning to full devolution, especially in terms of provision of social protection programs?
Yeah. Actually, once we devolve, there will be additional funding for the local government, and we are expecting that they will be prioritizing the social welfare services because this is very basic for our people. This is necessary that for them to be able to really live a better life, the social services should be prioritized. So, ang problema nga lang, syempre, maraming priorities na kinakailangan tignan ng ating mga local government units, pero importante sana na we appeal that the basic services will be put in or really flagged nila sa kanilang mga programs and services. Though we will not be able, we are not devolving any new program. This had been devolved already. It's just that they will be strengthening it through more funds and infusing more funds, and of course capacitating the implementers to be able to perform these programs and services appropriately and effectively and efficiently. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Asif. We have one more question po from our participant. Yung question naman po is, what will happen to programs like Pantawid in the succeeding years? Will it be affected by devolution?
Yes, the Pantawid will not be devolved because of the law, for the Pantawid law. So the Pantawid program will still be managed by the national government. However, the LGUs will still have similar functions and roles as being implemented now in the previous years. So this will be a partnership with our local government units. But the funding will not be devolved to the local government units.
All right. Thank you very much po, Asek Niwane. So now we also have, I think, 2 questions for Mr. Eric Humol from DOH. Sir Eric, so these are the questions from our participants. The first one is, DOH was the first agency to have formulated their devolution transition plan. What strategies did you employ, and how were these disseminated to the regional counterparts?
Yan, hello. For the DOH Devolution Transition Plan, series of consultation po was done between our stakeholders, sa mga LGUs po natin, sa mga PHOs, MHOs for the Devolution Transition Plan. And then after the consultations po, nag-formulate na po yung aming national, and it was cascaded sa aming mga regional counterparts. Like sa amin po, nagpatawag po sila for the regional offices and for the team for the cascade. And we were instructed to cascade it with our LGUs kung saan po kami na region. Ayun po.
All right. Thank you very much, Sir Eric. So I hope that answers the question of our participant. One more, Sir Eric. What are the expectations from the barangays given the presented DOH DTP?
And for the barangay po, they are expected to actively participate in our planning, local planning, lalo na po. Pero yung ating ibibigay po kasi sa barangay level are maintenance ng ating mga barangay health station. Mainly po kasi nag-focus yung devolved functions to the municipal, city, and province level. For the barangay level po, you have to participate in the local planning para po kung ano yung need nyo on health, marinig po and makasama po dun sa ating DTP at the municipal and city level. Thank you po.
All right, thank you very much, Sir Eric. And now, at this juncture, we'll be asking a question po for our OICRD from DBM, RD Nympha Manalastas, but I'm not sure po if she's already in the room. So, RD Nympha, are you here po ba? Or I think Miss Ella is here, a representative from DBM as well. So is it okay po ba if we ask the question po? Pwede po ba kaming makahingi ng thumbs up from Miss Ella? If we can accommodate the question. Ayun po, I think may problem lang po siguro sa connection nila. So we'll just park the question for DBM. So anyway, yan po, I think that sums up the questions that we were able to gather from our participants. So this is only the first part of our open forum and the first part of our session. So we have the second part of our session after this. So with that, I will now turn over the virtual floor to our host, Miss Mabi.
Alright po, maraming salamat Ms. Kitch for moderating our first open forum. Una pa lang po yan, mamaya may opportunity po tayo makapagtanong naman po sa ating mga local government units at kanilang mga representatives. So we shall now proceed po sa ating activity for the local government units naman po. So dito po ay magbibigay ng opportunity for us to listen sa ating mga success stories of devolution, ng inspirational leadership and testimonials proving po na nag-work po ang devolution sa ating communities. Makikita po natin ang lente ng devolution sa provincial, municipal, city, and at sa barangay level. So mamaya po, meron po tayong mga representatives po sa kanya-kanyang level ng mga LGUs po. So our first speaker naman po, to showcase the local efforts, especially in the provincial level, the contributions of local stakeholders and local partners towards devolution, may I call on Governor Albert S. Garcia of Bataan. Alright po, Governor Albert, ayan po. It's an honor for us to have you here with us today. The virtual floor is yours po, Governor Albert. I believe kindly unmute po si ating Governor.
Yun. Okay, thank you. Good morning to everyone. Kanina hindi pa ako ma-allow ng host to unmute. That's why I couldn't speak and you couldn't hear me. Can you hear me now?
Yes po, we can hear you po, loud and clear.
Okay, thank you very much. And I'm happy to be here in this devolution forum. I was invited by our new regional director, Director Carl, to say a few words with regards to devolution from the perspective of a local chief executive from the provincial level. First of all, it was my late father, Governor Tet Garcia, together with Governor Mandanas, who petitioned the Supreme Court to give the additional share of IRA, na ngayon po, NATA na po yung tawag, sa mga LGUs. So we are partly responsible for that. That's why we are doing this, because of the additional national tax allocation that the LGUs will receive starting 2022. Kaya ginagawa po natin ang lahat nitong mga devolution efforts. And as we have observed from a local government chief executive point of view, ang dami pong moving parts, very complicated, but I guess necessary para hindi po magkagulo-gulo at mas lalong ma-ensure na maging maayos yung devolution. I was around, although not yet in an elective position, nung devolution nung 1992. So hindi pa naman po ako ganong katanda. Pero I was exposed already to local governments at that time. And marami po naging problema nung devolution nung 1992. And I hope we will not encounter the same problems. Kaya siguro inaagapan ng ating mga agencies and personnel, mga officers of the different agencies para maging maayos itong devolution na ating ginagawa. And I commend the different departments, especially DILG, DOH, Dswd, and all the other departments doing all the efforts to ensure that we have an efficient, meaningful, and high-impact devolution to the lives of our people. I would like to introduce this morning a new kind of idea na I think would help all the things that we're doing. As we have observed, ang daming details na kailangan gawin dito sa devolution na ating ginagawa, ang daming moving parts, and I think it would help if we would have a bottom line, a uniform bottom line measurement of performance to all LGUs from the barangay, municipality, city, and province that will bind all these details together. Narinig po natin yung DSWD, yung DOH, ang daming detalyeng sinabi. But what if we have a simple bottom line measurement of performance where all these details can fall under in which case we can know the performance of a certain LGU and the local chief executive. Mas magiging madali po, mas ma-harmonize ang lahat ng ating efforts, and eventually may incentivize or disincentivize ng national government agencies ang iba't ibang mga LGUs based on their performance. And also, we will be educating the citizens or the electorate on choosing the right leaders, kasi hindi na magiging perception or emotions ang magro-rule tuwing elections, but a science-based, data-based measurement of performance. So yun po yung aking na banggit kay RD Carl when we met last week, and he asked me to speak in this forum. So to go into more details, ang ginagamit po namin dito sa Bataan, to give an example, is the HDI, or the Human Development Index. This is a measurement, one of the measurement of a quality of life in a certain locality. And if we're able to do this, malalaman natin kung maganda ang buhay sa isang lugar, if we are able to measure the HDI. And hindi naman po ganun kahirap sukatin ngayon. Ang HDI, with the age of technology, everything is measurable already everywhere. So the HDI has three major components: access to education, life expectancy or health, and the third is per capita income, which has to do with the economy or the poverty incidence. So pag ma-measure po natin itong tatlo at mataas po sa isang lugar, ibig sabihin po maganda ang buhay dun sa lugar na yon. So what if we're able to measure in almost real time the HDI of all the barangays, all the municipalities, all the cities, and all the provinces? And if we're able to do that, we will be able to manage it. If we're able to manage it because we have measured it, we will be able to improve it. And eventually, pwede nating ibangga po ito doon sa ating Seal of Good Local Governance, which are indicators, pwede po natin ibangga dito sa bottom line. And together with DOH, Dswd, and DILG, pwede po natin i-combine doon sa mga sa awarding ceremony na ginagawa po ng DILG for the Seal of Good Local Governance. So hindi na lang po indicator, pwede po maging bottom line yung ating pag-measure ng performance, and it will be more meaningful. So I was looking at this scenario at kinakwento ko nga kila RD Carl, what if every quarter, imbis na every year, nagmi-meet yung mga local chief executive in a awarding ceremony, and ma-measure natin yung HDI for all the barangays, for all the municipalities, cities, and province, at yung mga merong certain percentage of improvement per quarter, yun po yung binibigyan natin ng incentives, award, at recognition. I believe if we're able to do that, magbabago yung scenario sa lahat ng 40,000 barangays, more than 1,400 municipalities, 160 plus cities, and 81 provinces, dahil mame-measure na po natin at may incentivize. At the same time, we will be able to harmonize all our efforts. Again, ang daming moving parts na gumagalaw, but kung mame-measure natin yung bottom line, everything will fall under the bottom line and we'll be able to measure performance. Magkakaroon din po ng incentive. Hopefully, yung Seal of Good Local Governance, Seal of SGLG, Seal of Good Local Governance, would have a bigger incentive. At the same time, yung shame game po nito, dahil mame-measure na po yung bawat isa, pwede natin marank. So I think the shame game is a more of a motivational than the incentive, dahil ayaw naman po, tayo mga Pilipino, ayaw natin ang nahuhuli. So there will be a friendly competition among all the local government chief executives. At kahit na iba-iba yung partido, alam natin yung politika, napakabuhay po sa ating sistema, lalo na ngayon, malapit na po yung election. Pero kung merong bottom line at umiiral na po itong shame game dahil nahuhuli, kahit iba-iba po yung political background ng mga kapitan, ng mayor, ng congressman, ng governor, ay mapipilitan po sila to work towards a common goal dahil naka-measure na po ito at naka-publish po ito. So maiiwasan natin at mababawasan natin yung politika during the middle of the, after the election and before the next election. And hopefully, pag yun po nangyari, less politics, more public service to the people. So ito po yung aking proposal and I hope unti-unti pong ma-adapt ito ng ating pamahalaan. Ang binibigay ko nga pong example palagi ay yung larangan ng sports kung saan very exact ang measurement of performance. Kaya at the end of the game, alam natin kung sino yung panalo at sino yung talo na almost without question dahil yung performance ang nananaig at hindi yung mga other rhetorics or other things that are considered, but yung bottom line po yung performance. Then the national government can, kumbaga sa basketball or sa NBA, can start acting like the sports commission, measuring the performance, giving incentives, and probably even introducing some disincentive kung talagang hindi nagbabago yung LGU. And if that happens, I think we will empower more the LGUs, the front lines, and the people will feel even more the services of the government if we set up our government in this way. Na kung saan talagang devolution na po, binababa na po natin yung resources and responsibilities sa ating mga LGUs down to the barangay level, municipal level, city level, and provincial level. So ito na po yung magiging really very efficient decentralization and devolution of our government para talagang mag-take charge na po yung mga local government units sa ating bansa. So once again, thank you for inviting me, and I think nag-prepare po ng konting AVP yung ating mga kasama sa provincial government of Bataan para pakita yung ibang initiatives po ng aming probinsya. Thank you very much for your attention and hoping for a successful devolution sa ating bansa. Maraming salamat po.
The province of Bataan pursues a strategy of holistic, sustainable, and inclusive growth, anchored on its mission and vision. This strategy intimately links economic objectives with aspirations for the Bataeños' quality of life. Bataan is richly endowed in terms of location, natural resources, and human capital that attracted investments to pour in. Bataan hosts the biggest number of special economic zones, collectively offering a superior basket of incentives. Combined with robust infrastructure and security systems, aiming for excellent public service has spawned an automated performance management system in assessing government performance across several areas that paved the way for being awarded the seal of good local governance in the last 4 years. In primary healthcare, grassroots communities had been incentivized to look after their own well-being, thereby earning the One Bataan Seal of Healthy Barangay, which was later converted into the One Bataan Seal of COVID-Free and Dengue-Free Barangay. Significant breakthroughs in secondary and tertiary healthcare were also made via the Service Delivery Network. A pilot site for implementing the Universal Healthcare Law, equitable access to quality healthcare through Malasakit Centers and One Bataan Malasakit Dialysis Assistance Centers. Prevent, detect, isolate, and treat. A holistic direct response to the pandemic. Fast, accessible PCR testing and efficient contact tracing have slowed down local transmission. Pervasive online and on-ground risk communications. Border control has been effectively enforced through technology-driven measures. Temporary treatment and monitoring facilities were established in 2020, and one of which is the One Bataan Mega Quarantine and Processing. A referral hotline, coupled with real-time monitoring dashboard of active cases, plus a hospital bed tracker. In addition, bed capacity was expanded in 2 major hospitals for COVID-19 cases, while treatment for non-COVID patients are sustained through facility expansions and partnership with private hospitals to help tide many Bataeños over sporadic lockdowns. The province supplemented ayuda from the national government with swift initiatives to keep families from going hungry. Recognizing vaccination as the ultimate preventive weapon against the pandemic, Bataan has harnessed its resources optimally to make sure that every eligible Bataeño would be inoculated. In this regard, Bataan is leading the way in Region 3. Beyond stopgap measures, the provincial government accelerated efforts to make job and livelihood opportunities accessible through job placement referrals, a peso call center, and an enhanced online platform for spotting employment opportunities. The province has perked up livelihood and job creation on the ground by sustaining support to micro, small and medium enterprises or MSMEs. One Bataan Smart Business Directory, a mobile lifestyle and business app, a free online label design and printing services to MSMEs, boosting their marketing efforts. The One Bataan Handicraft Industry Ecosystem. Over the years, the provincial government has honed its system of attracting, soliciting, and processing bids for public-private partnerships or PPPs. The Bunker, the pilot PPP flagship project of Bataan, now serves as an elegant one-stop shop. Now, PPP projects are germinating in various industries. In agribusiness, the province has teamed up with an Israeli company to set up the One Bataan Agriculture Innovation and Technology Center, which empowers clusters of small farmers to modernize their operations and diversify into high-value crops. The Bataan No-Contact Apprehension System. With sustained support over the years, Freeport Area Bataan, or FAB, has established itself as a major contributor to the provincial and national economies. With FAB nearing full capacity in terms of locators, it comes as a welcome development that it is now legally authorized to accept locators in any part of the province. As of mid-2021, 19 FAB expansion areas have been identified, 11 of them outside Mariveles. These include the Colonnade at the capital in Balanga City, the One Bataan Command Center compound in Orani, Bataan New Container Port in Pilar, Bataan Baseco International Seaport Terminal Complex and Township. By far the biggest ticket item in the pipeline is the Bataan-Cavite Interlink Bridge that will further energize the dynamic economies of Regions 3 and 4 as well as the NCR. Moreover, the redevelopment of Samat Shrine of Valor to make it a world-class hub for history and culture. In the shadow of that massive structure, housing projects are in the works. With built-in community facilities, these One Bataan villages will bring the promise of a decent life to erstwhile informal settlers, fishermen, and low-income government employees. Even as the province continues to dream big in the middle of a pandemic, it makes sure that no Bataeño is left behind. The COVID-19 experience has showcased Bataan's resiliency, malasakit, and the value of unity and cooperation on multiple levels. Now, investors can ride on that dynamic momentum more easily than ever before. The province is now a few comfortable hops away. Through the One Bataan Investment Center at the SM Mall of Asia complex, potential investors can get a taste of Bataan's potential as an ecotourism hub. Proof yet again that no matter the circumstances, however daunting the odds, Bataan will always be open for business.
Ayan po, marami pong salamat, Governor Abbot of Bataan. Ayan po. So marami pong salamat, Governor Abbot of Bataan, for giving us a new perspective po sa aspeto ng mas aggressive na performance management sa ating mga LGUs, given na mas dadami na po ang kanilang responsibilidad sa susunod na taon. So maraming salamat po muli to Governor Albert Garcia of Bataan as well as the provincial government of Bataan. Okay po, galing po sa Bataan, dadako naman po tayo to southern Luzon po sa Laguna. So our next speaker is the Presidential Lingkod ng Bayan Awardee of the Civil Service Commission, Abakas ng Parangal ng Kabayanihan Awardee, with her other accolades and the initiatives that she has led within the city of Santa Rosa, Laguna. It is an honor for us to have here to present the public-private partnership as response to COVID-19 pandemic. Let's give a virtual round of applause to the City Mayor of Santa Rosa, Laguna, Mayor Arlene Arcillas.
Greetings to everyone. At the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic, we at the City of Santa Rosa made sure that we are ready and prepared to respond to our people's needs. Aside from the disease brought by the COVID-19, the enforced community quarantine has brought the lives of many into a sudden halt, leaving them with no source of income and limited access to basic social needs. As a city mayor, immediately we checked the resources of the city, the programs and projects for that fiscal year. And naturally, to adapt to the pandemic and the state of calamity, we revised the plans and programs and prioritizing health that time and food security. Our participatory style of governance has established good relations with the private sector prior to the pandemic. Hence, tapping them for assistance has resulted into positive outcomes. The public-private partnership has become an instrument for the city, not just to respond to the needs of the people, but also to introduce best practices that eventually turn into accomplishments. The Santa Rosa Community Isolation Unit. This serves as a temporary treatment and monitoring facility for COVID-19 of the city, as well as isolation. The property is owned by the Santa Rosa de Lima Parish, owned by the Diocese of San Pablo. Rubik Builders, a private company, took care of the construction, and the Leon Arcillas Foundation provided the furniture and equipments, and the rest of the essentials and the manpower were provided by the city government. Speaking of private referral hospitals, both the Complex of Hope of the Metropolitan City of South Luzon and Qualimed Hospital put up immediately the isolation units and the COVID response hospitals for our COVID patients. The COVID-19 referral hospitals of the City of Santa Rosa are the Medical City of South Luzon, initially, which is the Complex of Hope and Qualimed. In its response to the growing number of COVID-19 cases, the MCSL established the Complex of Hope with the assistance from the city government in securing the permits, and we provided 30 hospital beds. A first of its kind in the country, the Complex of Hope is a dedicated facility to handle COVID-19 cases separate from the main hospital wing of TMCSL. It can accommodate 26 patients, while 4 are intended for intensive care unit. It also provided for a separate facility for its healthcare personnel. The Qualimed Hospital, on the other hand, also built a separate structure from the main hospital purposely for COVID-19. It also established its own COVID-19 laboratory. In terms of transportation, public transportation was not allowed to operate during the ECQ. However, we have frontliners and health workers who need to report to their duties, as well as the economic frontliners that were allowed to operate during ECQ. With this, the city collaborated with transport groups to ferry, free of charge, our frontliners, health workers, and essential and economic frontliners and workers. This did not only give a means of mobility, but also provided support to jeepney and van drivers who have lost their source of income since they are not allowed to operate during the ECQ. And the city government allotted budget for this and paid for all these transportation charges. Jeepneys were used to transport essential workers and frontliners. The van transport, on the other hand, carried exclusively health workers. The Other Modern Philippines Corporation donated VS units to our community hospital as well as CHO 1 and 2, while Mitsubishi Motors Philippines Corporation lent L300 Exceed vans for the city's health offices as well as our distribution offices. While we ensure that facilities are available to manage any and all types of COVID-19 cases, our very first task was to respond to socioeconomic needs of our people who are forced to stay in their homes as preventive measures to curb the spread of the disease. In providing food and essentials to our people, we have to make sure that they receive healthy and nutritious food, not just the regular relief goods during calamities. We aided farmers in Mountain Province, Laguna, and Batangas by directly purchasing their produce. These produce were made part of the healthy food packs we delivered and distributed to all families and households in the city. We also distributed seeds to 18 barangays and 66 homeowners association so that they can grow and cultivate their own vegetables. Rolling Palenque was rolled out to reduce the number of people going to the public markets, especially during ECQ. With this, we help our retailers from the public market and we transport them to various areas in the city free of charge, where they can sell their products and produce. It also served as support to vegetable and meat vendors from the city market as they were able to sell their items to more people during ECQ. A number of private groups and individuals and associations also gave food for frontliners and health workers. As part of our socio-economic response, we provided financial assistance to the vulnerable and displaced sectors. The social amelioration of the local government assisted these sectors to cope during the community quarantine. The city government needs additional supplemental budget to help those, especially the COVID-19 patients, to pay for their medical expenses through guarantee letters as well as AIX assistance. And likewise, the Leon Arcilas Foundation also aid in giving assistance to the medical patients. On March 29 to April 11, 2021, the city was once again put under ECQ. To ensure that all families will receive financial aid, the city government added 350 million pesos to the national government's budget for the city, amounting to 341 million pesos only. With this, beneficiaries were not limited to SAP and 4Ps only. The Ayuda distribution team started the house-to-house distribution on April 9, 2021. Last year as well, seeing the needs and realizing the needs of the city government as well as the families of the deceased, in less than 6 months, we were able to build crematorium, partnering with New Life. One of the most crucial during the pandemic is knowing who has COVID-19 for proper contact tracing as well as prevention of the disease. So the city government of Santa Rosa immediately and successfully put up the COVID-19 RT-PCR Gene Expert Lab last year. We partnered with DOH and WHO in the establishment, but the said lab is fully funded and being fully operated by the city government of Santa Rosa under CHO1. As of today, starting from when the operation started, we are not collecting testing fees yet. And we are now one of the testing labs accommodating samples to be tested and collected from our ITM as well as the regional DOH. In my interview with ABS-CBN on January 6, 2021, I disclosed that the city has allocated 300 million pesos as initial budget for the procurement of COVID-19 vaccines. Consequently, I signed a tripartite agreement with AstraZeneca and the national government for the procurement of the vaccines. This meant that we have secured 300,000 doses of the vaccine, and this ensured the vaccination of 150,000 people since AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine is to be administered in 2 doses. A step closer to achieving 0 cases is the vaccination. On March 2021, the vaccination program of the city started its rollout with the help of the private hospitals in the city of Santa Rosa. Aside from the government-owned hospitals and facilities, various private hospitals as well as establishments also serve as vaccination sites of the city. As of now, we have 16 vaccination sites, and we added 1 more, the Enchanting Events Place in Enchanted Kingdom. In June 2021, our city served as a pilot site in the launch of the inoculation for essential workers under A4 category in Calabarzon. Over 600 employees from IMI, which is under the Laguna Techno Park Association, were given the jobs during that ceremonial vaccination that we did in Solenad. The partnership with LTAI continues as we made their multipurpose building one of the vaccination sites of the city government of Santa Rosa. The city government also teamed up with Toyota Motor Philippines, Toyota Aisin Philippines, and San Miguel Corporation to vaccinate the company's employees. Part of the city's vaccination efforts was the Park and Vac. It was initiated with the Santa Rosa Community Hospital to accommodate senior citizens, persons with comorbidities, and persons with disabilities who have difficulty in walking. In this project, the counseling, final consent, screening, vaccination, and monitoring is done while the vaccine is inside their vehicle. The city's vaccination team uses our very own COVID-19 vaccination management system developed by the City Information and Technology Office. Aside from the data validation of registered vaccinee, vital signs and schedule of second doses are also inputted in the system using the tablets. To register for vaccination, residents and workers just need to visit our vaccine portal, wherein they will provide vital information, especially medical history, and upload a photo of their valid ID. Pre-registration will make data validation easier during actual rollout. Yes, I believe we can get back to normal or ease into the new normal by working together. I am confident we can achieve more than this because, as I have many times said before, in the city of Santa Rosa, we work as one family and we heal as one city. Thank you for listening. I hope you are able to learn from our COVID-19 response and efforts. Good day and always keep safe. God bless to everyone. Greetings to everyone.
Ayan po, marami pong salamat, Mayor Arcelias. No? She was able to inspire us sa stories na nakita po natin na ang partnerships, if na-leverage po natin to, if nagamit po natin to maayos, makaka-ensure po tayo ng quality of basic services sa ating community. Especially ngayon po, sa panahon ngayon, ay nasa pandemya po tayo. So maraming salamat po, Mayor Arcelias, for imparting your strategies and ensuring the quality of basic services sa ating mga community members. Alright po. So again, any announcements lang po. If you have any questions to our speakers for this morning, kindly utilize po ang ating chat box and we shall be able to answer po later on sa ating open forum. Alright po, susunod naman po, galing naman po from Southern Luzon, dadako ulit po tayo sa Central Luzon. So to discuss ang Making Dreams into Reality, the story of Pura Water Supply System. This is a story po ng isang meaningful collaboration of the national and local government units. Alright po, may I call on the Mayor of Pura Tarlac, a 2-term municipal councilor and a 1st-term municipal mayor, Mayor Freddy D. Domingo. Let's give him a virtual round of applause. Alright po, mukhang we're currently encountering and po. Ayun po.
Water is life. Safe drinking water is a basic human right. Clean water and hygienic sanitation facilities are essential to life and a thriving community. Access to potable water has not always been easy for Pura. Long ago, this was an unreachable dream for every foreigner because for a struggling fourth-class municipality, providing potable water supply in everyone's home would require a lot of resources, which our municipality do not have. During these times, residents do not have their own deep well or jetmatic, have to fetch and carry gallons of water from communal wells to have water supply from their household. This gets even worse during the summer season, when water pumps cannot extract even a single drop. Everyone can say that life in Pura back then was literally dry, and the dry season was a nightmare. Our prayers had been partially answered in 1997 when Senator Maceda headed Pura's call for a potable water supply. However, the established water system, managed and operated by the LGU, was unable to fully supply the needs of the community since it was originally intended to serve only the population area, population 1, 2, and 3. And expanding the service to the nearby barangays resulted to an unsteady water supply. The continuously increasing demand for clean and safe water made it extremely necessary to expand the existing LGU-run water facility. In 2016, the once far-fetched dream has been gradually fulfilled with the introduction of the Departments of Interior and Local Government's bottom-up budgeting water program. The financial subsidy provided by the DLG paved the way for the construction of a well and expansion of the Poro water system in Barangay Stipona, the most populated and largest in terms of land area. These projects catered the southern barangays in Pura, namely Puro, Stipona, and some parts of Naya. In 2017, another well was constructed in Barangay Singat, and additional pipelines were laid out in the western barangays, Singat, Linao, and Baliti. In 2018, BUB has evolved into another DILG program, DILG Assistance to Disadvantaged Municipalities, which provided financial subsidy to the LGU. During this time, the fourth pumping station was established in Barangay Buena Vista, covering the eastern barangays, Buena Vista, Dilasan 2nd, Dilasan 1st, and Masin. The LGU during this time, bought out the water service connection of the northern barangay, Balite, Mongid, and Masin from the Ramos Water District and was immediately connected to the Pura water system. The 4 pumping stations was interconnected to ensure uninterrupted supply of clean and potable water in the covered barangays. In 2019, pipeline operations were executed by the LGU to far-flung sitios to ensure inclusivity in the program implementation. In 2020, through the DLG Assistance to Municipalities program, the Pura water system expansion continued in another well is currently under construction in Barangay Mongid, cover the northern barangays. This is to ensure that enough pressure is present to warrant that even the farthest sitios will have a steady supply of clean, potable water 24/7. In a span of 5 years, we've reached the unreachable dream, which was once a vision of providing water access to all has become a reality. As a fourth-class municipality in the province of Tarlac, we've been striving hard to ensure that all the basic services enshrined in the Philippine Constitution in the Local Government Code of 1991 are promptly delivered to the people. This is the reason behind the government's existence, to ensure that basic needs are met no matter how meager resources may be. While securing uninterrupted supply of clean potable water, the LGU revenue generating capacity also improved. The increase in local income brought about by the Pura water system allowed us to be more proactive in the delivery of the needed services. Thank you to the Department of Interior and Local Government for assisting us LGUs and ensuring that the tenets of good governance, matino, mahusay, at maasahan are faithfully discharged. This has become our guiding principle in the delivery of services that is truly felt by the people. And for Pura, good governance is our greatest investment. This is a clear manifestation that working together will bring greater opportunities through DLG's all-out assistance. We've made this far, from a sleepy town to a booming community. The synergy between Pura and DLG has been the driving force for us to keep up. As we brace ourselves for full devolution, we know that programs providing financial subsidy from the DLG will somehow be discontinued. But technical assistance and competencies to further hone LGU capacities will still be afforded. We believe that help will always be available to those who deserve. The infrastructure component of our water utility has been completed, but it doesn't stop there, because the LG ensured that the assistance provided to our LGU will encompass hard and soft programs to guarantee that our utility can withstand the test of time and become utility of the future, resilient and sustainable. Pura will always be indebted to DILG because every single drop of water coming out from every household tap is a constant reminder that DILG made it possible. Agyaman kami ako, mabuhay ang DILG, mabuhay ang local government code, mabuhay ang pamahalang lokal. Salamat.
Ayan po, maraming salamat po, Mayor Freddy Domingo ng Pura Tarlac. So nakita po natin na ang storya po ng Pura Tarlac ay nagsisilbing inspirasyon sa lahat ng mga ating mga munisipyo na gustong maging booming community. Sabi nga po ng ating Mayor Freddy, from a sleeping community to a booming community. Dito po ay nakikita po natin ang clear line ng coordination ng ating mga national government agencies at ang ating mga local government units to attain, sabi nga po ni Mayor Freddy, to attain an unreachable dream. Ayan, para sa isang mapayapa at umuunlad na munisipyo at komunidad para sa lahat. Ulit po, maraming salamat po Mayor Freddy Domingo of Pura Tarlac. Now po from Tarlac, from Central Luzon, dadako naman po tayo sa Mindanao area kung saan may mawi-witness po tayo na isang barangay na nagpamalas ng kagalingan sa aspeto ng barangay governance. So ang susunod na speaker po natin ay isang former president of the Libertad's Women Federation. She is also the first woman na naging punong barangay ng kanyang Barangay Libertad in Butuan City. She is also the chairman of the Division Literacy Coordinating Council and also a Regional Advising Council member for Police Regional Office Caraga. So it's a pleasure to us to have here with us today. May call on the Punong Barangay of Barangay Libertad of Butuan City, Punong Barangay Menchi Rosario. Alright po, team. Kindly unmute po natin si ating Punong Barangay Menchi. Ayan po. Naka-unmute na po tayo, Kap. I believe baka po yung inyong microphone ay hindi pa po na-connect. Ayan po. So, Punong Menchi, pwede po nating tignan ang ating button po sa baba na may microphone. Naka-on naman po ba ito? Naka-on na po. Naka-connect naman po ang ating microphone, ano? Mukhang inaayos pa po nila Punong Menchi ang kanilang sound system. Mukhang may problema po tayo sa microphone, Kap. Pwede po nating tignan po sa ilalim po, left. Pwede po natin pindutin yung arrow. Ayan po. At select a microphone. Ayan po. Or audio settings po natin. Ayan po, habang inaayos po ni Kapitan Menchi ang kanyang sound system, team, kindly assist na lang po. Punong Menchi, if may concerns po kayo, pwede nyo na po i-chat sa ating team, sa ating host po dyan, kung ano po ang pwede po namin maitulong para po maiayos ang ating technical difficulties. So, alright po, can we request our tech team to assist po ang ating Punong Barangay Menchi? So you could easily chat po siya or tawagan po sa kanyang mga coordinators po natin dyan. Alright po, ayan po, ayan. Maraming salamat po sa ating tech team. Maraming salamat po. Barangay, Punong Barangay Menchi, the virtual floor is yours. Let's give her a virtual round of applause.
Madyaw na adlaw kaninyong tanan. To Yusek Marlo L. Iringan, to our NBOO Director, Director Dennis D. Villa Sr., Director, thank you for this opportunity. Assistant Director, Ma'am Debbie Torres, to our Regional Director, Director Lilibet Pamasion, our City Director, Director Chariza Guerta, to our City LGO, Ma'am Marisa Mones, and Ma'am Lolita Go, to all our resource speaker, local chief executive, to everyone present today in our virtual, a safe and peaceful morning to all. Can I show na po, please? Next, please. Yes, next, please. Okay. Barangay Libertad, Butuan City, Caraga Region. Barangay Libertad, next please, is the biggest barangay of Butuan City, with a total land area of 984.067 hectares, consists of 35 puroks, total population of 25,297, with composed of 7,336 households. Next, please. Next, please. These are the establishments nearby in our public market. We have the PNP Region Office, the PNP Region Hospital, and such another offices situated in our area. We have the Bangko Central, the Hall of Justice, the Provincial Hospital, the PAO, the PDEA, the GSIS, the city, and the provincial jail. Next, please. The public market in its humble beginning. Next, please. Constructed through the effort of Barangay Libertad. The public market of Barangay Libertad started its operation in early 1960s during the incumbency of late Punong Barangay Elias A. Vagalion, and it's growing progressively up to present. Next, please. The operational guide through legislation, Barangay Libertad Ordinances on Market Operation. Next, please. Sangguniang Barangay Ordinance 08 of 2015. We have an ordinance prohibiting use sale of plastic bags on dry goods, regulating its use on wet goods, providing penalties thereof and for other purposes. Next, please. An ordinance 09 of 2015, an ordinance of customer welfare for fair weight, scale on the consuming public of Barangay Libertad, providing penalties thereof and for other purposes. Next, please. Another ordinance 01 of 2019, an ordinance providing revenue code of Barangay Libertad, Butuan City, and for other purposes. And the last ordinance for our Barangay Economic Enterprise, an ordinance establishing regulation for the lease rental of black chandas, store buildings, and stall inside the public market owned by the local government unit of Libertad, Butuan City, and for other purposes. Public market operation. Next, please. What are inside in our market? Existing section in Libertad Public Market are wet sections, dry sections, black chandas, ukay-ukayan, tabo-tabo, and other accessories. Next, please. Economic enterprise total stall in the black chandas. We have 16 black chandas, 26 stall vegetables, 18 stall left wing, 7 stall meat vendor, 12 stall fish vendor, 33 tabo-tabo every Saturday, and 33 ukay-ukay every Tuesday, Thursday, and next, please. Libertad Public Market. These are the picture of our market. Next, please. We have our Libertad Black Chandas. Okay. Next, please. And our ukay-ukay hanger every Wednesday and Friday. Tabo-tabo every Saturday. Thank you. Next, please. How it is operated. Next, please. Barangay Libertad Public Market operation has been carried out through the management of Barangay Economic Enterprise and its personnel. Next, please. The economic enterprise staff. We have our one market administrator. We have a market inspector, a barangay collector, a transport collector, sanitation officer, barangay electrician, we have assistant barangay electrician, a maintenance, and a traffic enforcer. Next, please. Market operations, issues, and challenges. The challenges and action taken. These are the challenges that we really encountered in our market operation. We have delinquency of rentals and electric bills. What are the action taken? We have the provision of incentives and applying low rental rates. Another challenges, subleasing stall. What are our actions? The Barangay Economic will call the attention of concerned lessee and discuss this matter with the Punong Barangay. Next, please. COVID-19 pandemic challenge. COVID-19 hit us in the middle of 2019. Every one of us has caught unprepared. Year 2020 is really one of the most challenging year for all of us. Who would ever forget the fear and dilemma brought by the pandemic and the kind of fight we fought to ease the situation? Drastic turns of events and redirection of plans had to happen that really affect our economy. But it is in these most difficult times we are challenged to put and pour our very best effort and innovation to fight and handle the challenges. These are the challenges, the transmission of the COVID-19 virus. Please. Crowding of our market goers during our peak hours, the threat and contamination of goods. Next, please. Thank you. Overcoming COVID-19 pandemic challenge in public market operation. We have the synergy at work. How cooperation and participation of different sectors help. Next, please. In the focus of our synergy of the local governance, we have our agencies that really help our market. We have from the Senro, the City Agriculture, the City Economic Enterprise. We have our friends from media, the DPWH, the Philippine Army, Air Force, and Marines. The LGU of Butuan City, the CSWD, the private sectors, the City Health, and the Office of the CDRRMO, and our PNP. Next, please. Information drive of COVID-19 to Libertad Public Market. Who help us? These are the agencies who really help us. From our media friends, the City Health Office, they're doing the Recorrida, our BHERT, our PNP, the Sangguniang Kabataan, the City PIO with the communication group. Next, please. And the transmission of the virus by, next, please. We have to wear our face mask, the social distancing, and the proper sanitation or the disinfection. Next, please. Ensuring adherence to health protocol for the people's safety when buying their goods. Crowding market goers during the peak hours. Who help us? Ensuring the physical distancing, the sanitation, and we have our quarantine color coding. These are the people who help us. The Barangay Tanod, we have our Philippine Air Force, the Philippine Army, our PNP, and of course, our general public. Next, please. Thank you. Inspection of the city economic regarding the health protocols due to COVID-19 pandemic. These are during the inspection. Next, please. The threat of contamination of our goods. We have to do the plastic covers, general disinfection with the help of the City Economic, the City Health Office, the CDRRMO, the DPWH, and the market vendors. Next, please. Okay. So these are our inspection proper, disposal of the contaminated goods. Next, please. The disinfection of the Barangay Libertad Public Market with the City Health personnel and the DPWH. Thank you. Yes, the DPWH installed us the shower disinfection. So these are the general disinfection, the CHO through the sanitation unit, the DPWH, and the CDRRMO. Next, please. Okay, next. Next, please. The City Health Office and the CDRRMO conducted also a rapid test to the public market vendors, to barangay and barangay employees. Next, please. Thank you. And Libertad personnel also giving the food packs around the barangay, including all our market vendors. Next. Thank you. Implementing the full devolution in Section 17 of the Local Government Code, provision of basic services and facility, particularly satellite or a public market. How Barangay Libertad will benefit from it, and how the Libertad public market operations will help. Next, please. A peak of a financial performance of Barangay Libertad from our year 2018 and up to 2021. Kasi first term ko lang po, kakaupo ko lang po ng 2018. So 2018 pa lang po kami nag-start. And we have the total revenue and the operating expenses and the surplus. Surplus is added to the general fund to fund other developmental projects of the barangay. Next, please. Market operation and its contribution to the total barangay income. This is our fiscal year and the income of Barangay Libertad to the annual budget up to the income of our market. So these are the total share. Nakaseparate po yung annual income po ng Barangay Libertad at saka yung income po namin sa economic enterprise. Next, please. The current challenges towards our facility. The current reality of the public market, limited parking space, the drainage system, which is not concrete yet, smaller space for the number of market goers and vendors. But we are looking forward for a wider and a more convenient parking space, concrete drainage, and a bigger and a two-story building. Next, please. Opportunity for the full devolution, the Mandanas-Garcia ruling, anticipated in increase of the national tax allotment. Next, please. With from the income of our economic, the public market, plus the portion of the NTA, the 20% development fund of the barangay, and of course, with the support of our with our city government is equal. Next, please. Improve a public market facility. Next, please. An improved public market facility is expected to generate more income for the barangay government, surplus of which can be utilized to fund other developmental projects, more business opportunities with the expected increase in the number of stalls. We can more jobs generated and provide easy access, convenience, and safety market goers and vendors, a better services. We have job generation because of the, next please, because of our market sections and the number of those stall, we employed person per stall, and the total job generated 300. Next, please. And before I end up my presentation, let me show you a quote. It's not about perfect. It's about effort. And when you bring that effort every single day, that's where transformation happens. Next, please. Maraming salamat po. God bless and keep safe, everyone.
Maraming salamat po, Punong Barangay Menchie. So nakita po natin sa kanyang presentation ang pagbibigay ng effort ng kada sektor, ahensya, at even mga komunidad, mga tao sa ating komunidad upang ma-achieve ang gustong ma-achieve at the barangay level. So nakita po natin ang synergy at the barangay level. So maraming salamat po, Punong Barangay Menchie. So okay pa naman po tayo lahat? If okay po tayo lahat, kindly give a thumbs up or heart po sa ating picture sa Zoom. So heart or thumbs up, kung okay pa po tayo. Ayan, mukhang okay na po halos. Ayan, maraming salamat po sa inyong papanonood po sa ating activity na ito. So moving forward, we shall now move forward sa ating open forum. May I call again my partner from the DILG Calabarzon, Ms. Kitch Gogolin.
Thank you very much, partner, Ms. Mabi. So we are once again here for the second open forum. So just a quick recap, no, yung ating mga naging presenters for the second part. We are joined with Governor Albert Garcia from the province of Bataan, who discussed their plans and actions on full devolution. Also from DILG, from Region 4A, Mayor Arlene Arcillas presented their best practices of the City of Santa Rosa for the synergy in local governance, particularly in public-private partnerships. And also, Honorable Freddy D. Domingo from the municipality of Pura Tarlac shared to us their journey of their municipality in providing a potable water supply to their constituents through partnerships with DILG through the BUB program, which then became the ADM and the AM program. And also, last but not the least, sinamahan din po tayo ni Punong Barangay Menchie Rosario from Barangay Libertad of Butuan City to share their best practices on managing their public market facility in light of the COVID-19. So with that, we already consolidated. We already have gathered questions from our participants that we'd like to raise to our resource speakers. So request ko lang din po ang ating mga resource speakers to kindly open our cameras so that we can be seen by our participants. And also, if kasama pa rin po natin si ASEC Jocelyn and si Sir Eric Humol from DOH and DSWD, pwede pa rin po tayo we're also requesting if we can still accommodate questions na naiwan po kanina from our open forum. So open lang po natin yung ating cameras. Ayan, and to our participants, feel free po to raise our questions through our chat box feature here on Zoom. Yan, so I'll be proceeding na po to our first question. So I'd like to raise this question to Mayor Arcillas. By the way po pala, we are being represented by to represent Mayor Arcillas, kasama po natin ang City Administrator, Attorney Leonardo Ragaza. So welcome po, sir. So he will be answering any question that will be raised for the City of Santa Rosa. So the first question will be for Attorney Ragaza. This is from Malolo's office, Honorable Rico Capule. So ang question po is, what program did you launch for business sector to become part of LGU in your area? So aside po doon, siguro sir, sa mga na-feature sa ating AVP, any more programs or strategies that you'd like to share in launching yung business sector po in our LGU? Sir?
Marami na po kami naging programa sa business sector. Ano po? Particular po sa response namin sa COVID, kami po yung nagsimula ng A4 vaccination sa Calabarzon. So sa Santa Rosa po ni-launch yan. Nagkaroon po kami ng sariling vaccination area sa LTI, ang aming pong Laguna Techno Park, kung saan ang industrial hub po na Santa Rosa natin. We are currently in the process of our investment priorities plan. Ito po yung bibigay ng further incentives pa sa ating mga investors dito sa Santa Rosa.
Yeah, thank you very much. Sir, another question po. So, pwede po ba nating ma-share din yung ating strategy? So, with the initiatives that were shared kanina po sa AVP, can we share kung ano po yung naging strategies natin and how we were able to rally yung iba't ibang support from multiple sectors in our LGU?
Yes po, ang aming pong partnership, hindi lang po sa industries namin dito sa Santa Rosa, na-involved din po, even our churches involved din po kasi yung po aming isolation center, ito po ay pag-aari ng Diocese of San Pablo na ino-operate po ng Santa Rosa de Lima Parish. So nakipag-partner po kami sa kanila para magamit po namin yung kanilang building para po aming maging isolation center. Ito naman ay kinonstruct po or renovate ng Robic Builders, isa pong construction company na base dito sa Santa Rosa. Dinonate po nila yung construction efforts sila doon. And then yung furnishings naman po, yung mga gamit, equipments, ay dinonate naman po ng Leon Arcilas Foundation. So ito po ay classic example ng public-private partnership dito po sa City of Santa Rosa. Yun po aming, dahil nga po sa pandemic, we had to establish crematorium here in Santa Rosa. So kami po yung nag-establish ng crematorium funded by the city. And then we partnered with a operator para po sa kanila expertise. So private company po ang nag-ooperate ito. At ang city lang po ang nagpa-fund ng operation.
All right, thank you very much, Attorney Ragazao, for sharing the best practices of the City of Santa Rosa. Ayan, so the next question naman po is addressed to Governor Garcia. This is from Malolos, LGU Malolos. So congrats in advance daw po, Gov. And how did you manage all these programs while we are in the middle of experiencing this pandemic?
Yes, thank you sa LGU Malolos for your commendation and for your question. Una po sa lahat, we did not start this initiative just during the pandemic. We started early during my first term. We went through the PGS program or the Performance Governance System program under the ISA or Institute for Solidarity in Asia. A lot of our national government agencies went through this program, DOH, I think DILG, PNP, Army, Navy, and some of our LGUs. More specifically, mga cities, and we were the first province to enter this program. Ang maganda po dito sa program, it starts with a visioning exercise where you mobilize all the stakeholders in your locality to come up with a vision. And kami po, 2 araw yung visioning exercise where we invited all the sectors, all the officers from national to local governments para ibigay yung kanilang aspirations for Bataan. And we came up with a very good vision, which is having the lowest poverty incidence, attaining top-level Human Development Index in the country or HDI. So doon po nagsimula. And when we were able to establish the vision, doon na po nagsimula yung aming alignment to the vision. And it's just not just a vision. isang requirement po is the vision to be exact, to be measurable, and to be time-bound para hindi po vague at hindi po masyadong macro yung ating pinag-uusapan. And since HDI is measurable, sinimulan po namin i-align ang lahat ng departments according to their mandate at yung pinaka-contribution nila, yung tinatawag naming strategic initiative towards the vision. At ito po yung mini-measure at binibigyan ng bonus or ini-incentivize. And since we have a common vision, na-mobilize din po namin yung partners namin from the national government agencies, GOCCs, plus the private sector through the special bodies, including the barangays. So, yun po yung nangyari, everyone is aligned, so moving towards one direction, kaya mas madali pong ma-implement. And nag-adjust na lang po kami during the time of the pandemic, lahat naman po tayo na overwhelmed, but I guess all the preparations helped us to cope with this pandemic. So nakatulong din po ng malaki yung aming mga initial na mga endeavors and initiative towards alignment to the vision and setting up of the bottom line. So thank you.
Thank you very much po, Governor Garcia, and for giving time to be in this platform today para po makasama natin in sharing and pooling our knowledge on synergy in the local governance. So moving on to our next question. This is addressed naman po to Mayor Domingo, raised from LGU of Malolos. How did you address the problem of water supply if you have experienced that problem in your locality? So Mayor, baka po makapag-share po tayo ng some other strategies aside from the ones mentioned po sa ating presentation a while ago. Mayor Domingo?
Magandang umaga po sa atin. Hi. Magandang umaga po. No? Salamat po sa tanong. Ang naging inspirasyon po kasi lagi kaya pinutap namin itong water system namin because during summertime, dito sa bayan namin, talagang magsasalo ka ng tubig. So, malalim pong tubig, kahit po yung mga deep well, wala rin pong makuhang tubig. So, nung konsyal pa lang po ako, nasimulan na po to. At ngayon na naging mayor po ako, tinuloy-tuloy lang po namin na mapalaki ito. At para maging mapalakas po yung presyo niya, lahat po ng proyekto coming from DILG ay finokus po namin sa water system. Yung EM namin, yung BUB namin, finokus po namin sa water system. At sa kagandahan po, dahil kami po rito ay talagang open bidding po, yung pong sa isang proyekto po, may marami pong nagiging sukli. Kaya yung gamit po natin na imbis na yung water tank lang ang nagagawa, napapalagyan po namin ng linya kahit sa kaloob-looban o kasulok-sukan ng aming barangay, gamit ng variance, gamit ng sukli po. Kaya po sa isang proyekto, sa isang marami pong nagagawa, maraming nangyayari. Dahil po sa kagustuhan namin lahat ng kasulok-sulukan ng aming barangay, ang makinabang sa proyekto na nanggagaling sa ating national government. Pagkatapos po, at itong mga sumunod na taon, naging problema rin po natin para mapaganda, mapalinis po yung water system natin ng maayos. Inayos naman po natin, nag-allocate na naman po tayo ng pondo para po para malinis po yung sun separator po para po mapaganda natin ang ating serbisyo para sa ating mga kababayan. Nag-allocate po ka ng malaking pondo para po sa sun separator at tuloy-tuloy po ang ginagawa po natin hanggang sa ngayon po.
Maraming salamat po, Mayor Domingo, for accommodating the question. So moving on po to our next question. This one is addressed to Punong Barangay Menchi, Rosario. The question po is, what are the specific assistance that you availed from the higher LGUs from the national government agencies?
Thank you for that. Actually, this is one of the best practices we have here in Butuan City, especially in our barangay, that we have a good relationship with our higher LGU. We know that the barangay level are non-partisan, so I strongly believe that our LGU should help our barangay. So, hindi ko po naiisa kanina because we have just given in a short time to discuss. Well, in fact, all of the agencies, napakalaki po yung tulong na nabigay ng mga ahensya sa amin. Like for example, doon sa our PNP. During the pandemic, our PNP is the one who helped us for our maintaining our peace and order, and as well as assisting our constituents for the information drive. Aside from that, we have our Senro. What did our Senro do to our barangay? It helps our Senro to disinfect. Aside from that, our daily activities, yung pagpipick up po ng basura, ginagawa po yun ng Senro sa aming barangay, and our city health and our CDRMO, our CSWD. What did the CSWD? So like for example, giving us the ayuda towards our barangay, and how we maximize this help. So syempre, all that help, we have our maximizing this, we are informing our constituents by we have our social media, our account of our barangay, and with the help of our purok leaders. By that way, we could able to extend and share po natin yon sa ating mga constituents. So yun po yung mga help po ng agency sa aming barangay.
Another question po, Kap. So from the perspective naman po of punong barangay, how will you benefit po from the full devolution? Or are there any challenges that you can think of that you may encounter given its implementation?
Yes, actually, it's a big challenges for the barangay level when it comes to our the implementation of the devolution transition. We are just finished katatapos lang po namin ng seminar together with the DILG. But sabi pa nga ng aming city director na this challenge is for just now. Alam na, in soon time, we will be adjusting for this. So, napakalaking challenges po talaga. Like, for example, having this kind of amount and putting this into your barangay for implementing it properly, parang nasa-stress kami. So, on the part of Barangay Libertad, natapos po namin yung plans and activities. So, by way of putting all those budget, di ba? Kasi nada-download na po sa amin yung agriculture, yung dapat po malaking for the infra ngayon, at saka ang dami-dami po ng plans and activities na dinownload po siya during our seminar. So, I truly understand na medyo napakalaking hamon, but alam ko that we can work together with our council. I guess walang imposible doon. We can implement this for the good of our constituents and for the good of our communities. So, trabaho lang po. We will work on it.
Yeah, thank you very much po, Kap, for sharing your insights. So now we are down to our last question. This is addressed to Governor Garcia and Mayor Domingo, but anyone from our pool of resource speakers may also share their insights if they have. The question po is, how do you empower barangay officials to attain their goals? So, anyone is free to answer po. Sino po yung gusto mauna?
Wow, galing barangay. Congrats, Kap. Taga Malolos ang nag-comment.
Governor Garcia, do you have...
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Go ahead po.
Una po, to empower our barangays, we should be on the same page. And having a uniform bottom line with the barangays helps us to be on the same page so we can move forward in harmony. So very important po talaga yung vision makascade down to the barangay, down to all the sectors, private, religious, academe, kasama po yung mga LGUs or yung mga barangay officials, so that we will be starting from the same page and moving in harmony from together from where we started. So very important po yun. Wala pong pinagkaiba. Kunyari, nag-set tayo ng meeting, katulad po ng meeting natin ngayon, sa Zoom, nagsimula ng 9:30. Importante po yun para hindi magkaligaw-ligaw yung ating participants. Ganon din po sa governance. Kailangan malinaw, klaro, ano ba yung bottom line vision so that we can start from the same page and move towards our vision in harmony. So I think that's very important. para tuloy-tuloy yung progress ng ating mga barangay. And moving forward, we will be able to incentivize, to capacitate, to nurture, and eventually even disincentivize kung yung mga non-performing LGUs under the DILG or under the province. Pero ang napansin po namin when we started incentivizing the barangay, talagang nagkaroon ng friendly competition. Aside from the incentive, yung shame game, it plays a very important role kasi sa mga governors, mayors, kapitan, sino ba naman yung gustong hindi ma-recognize o malagay sa hulihan ng listahan. So it's a very potent tool, itong friendly competition, itong recognition, itong incentives, at pati yung shame game comes into play kapag ganito po yung nangyayari. So that's how we started to mobilize and get the support of the barangays. Thank you po.
Thank you po, Governor Garcia. So as he puts it, malinaw at klaro ang vision that will be cascaded from the higher LGUs down to the barangays. So Mayor Freddy Domingo, meron po ba tayong addition to that input by Governor Garcia on the question how we can empower our barangays to attain their goals?
Dito sa aming bayan, halos every month, lagi kong kasama ang aking mga barangay officials at lagi namin pinagtutunan ng pasin kung ano mga dapat gawin, pinagplaplanuhan ng maayos. Para nang sa ganun, there must be a collective, collaborative action on the part of the LGU and also the barangay officials. Kasi yun ang pinakamagandang pamamaraan, na always be transparent in our dealings. Para nang sa ganun, mas maraming magiging proyekto, mas maraming magagawa kung ang mga pagkikipag-transact natin sa other agencies ay nagiging transparent po tayo lagi. At sa ngayon po, nasa harapan ako ng mga kapitan ko at tuloy-tuloy lang po ang aming pag-uusap para nang sa ganun matugunan din namin ang may ibang problema lalo-lalo ngayon sa panahon ng pandemya. And with regards to our water system, in our municipality kami po siguro may pinakamurang singil sa water system na sadyang nakakatulong na naman sa aming mga kababayan dito sa bayan ng Pura. Kaya ngayon po, ongoing pa ang construction ng another water system namin para nang sa ganun mapalakas pa yung pressure dito sa bayan namin kasi medyo mahina po, malalim po ang tubig dito. So basta po tulong-tulong, nagkakaisa ang mga leader. Basta ang leader ay talagang sadyang ang iniisip ay magampanan niya ng mahusay at matino ang kanyang mandato, ay marami pong magagawa para sa ating mga kababayan. Magandang umaga.
Thank you po, Mayor Domingo. So that's transparency and close coordination naman po for Mayor Domingo. Ayan, so any more answers from the rest of our resource persons that they'd like to add or they'd like to share? Kap Menchi, I think she has something to add.
Yes, ma'am. On the part of the barangay level, I guess it should be paano namin na-empowered yung aming mga council. Hindi naman po lahat nasa kapitan lang po yung trabaho. We have to distribute the labor, no? On the part of our barangay council, it's not about the color of the politics. Your purpose is to serve. So I guess the reason is one goal. You have to serve your people, you have to serve your community, and that is the purpose. So yun lang po, so that your barangay will be empowered. Nagtutulungan po siya dapat. So, yun lang po ang i-add ko lang po. Thank you and God bless.
Thank you din po, Kap Menchi. So, sabi nga po ni Kap, no, in empowering councils naman po sa perspective po ng isang punong barangay, so labor distribution and also instilling that spirit of servant leadership, that you are there to serve your constituents. Yan po, I think we already covered all the questions. We have noted the questions raised to DBM, but unfortunately po, they are in an equally important activity. But rest assured that we will be able to forward to them the concerns and the questions that were raised during the open forum of today's session. So muli, maraming salamat po to our resource speakers for taking the time and for sharing your expertise to everyone here. So this ends our open forum. Binabalik ko na po ang ating virtual floor to our host, Ms. Mabi.
Maraming salamat po, Ms. Kitch, for moderating our second open forum. And of course, maraming salamat sa ating mga local government units and their representatives for imparting their experiences and imparting their narratives that shall inspire and motivate our other local government units in their provision ng better quality services sa kanilang mga mamamayan. Let's give them a virtual round of applause. Palakpakan naman po natin sila lahat. So maraming salamat din po sa inyo at palakpakan din niyo ang sarili niyo for being able to go through this and to able to actively participate sa ating activity. So alright, maraming salamat po ulit sa ating mga previous resource persons and maraming salamat din po Ms. Kitch for moderating our second open forum. Alright po, at this point, allow me to call on the Assistant Regional Director of DILG Calabar Zone, Assistant Regional Director Noel Bartolaba, to provide us the synthesis and key takeaways from this very interesting and very collaborative session.
This morning, Ms. Mabi Castro. Of course, sa ating mga local chief executives, local sanggunian members, government officials, representatives from national government agencies, league officers, invited resources persons, guests, good morning. It is an honor to give to you the synthesis of this session. The session guided local government units in transitioning to full devolution, making well-informed decisions, and performing their key roles effectively in achieving local governance excellence. From the presentation of the national government agencies, we have seen how they have carefully laid out their devolved programs and services for the local government units, including their capacity development initiatives to support LGUs in response to the emerging needs. They also included identified strategies for partnership with the LGUs, also cited some recommendations to ensure effective harmonization of efforts from national government agencies down to the provinces, cities, municipalities, and barangay. For local government units, we have seen how the strong and dynamic interrelationship of an LGU-NGA can bring greater opportunities. It starts with the presentation of our Honorable Governor, Albert S. Garcia of Bataan, of performance measurement. It started with the alignment of vision, setting up of bottom line through measurement of performance using the Human Development Index to simplify and harmonize efforts and incentivize LGUs based on performance. Second, it educates constituents based on science, the results of performance measurement. The Honorable Mayor of Santa Rosa City, Mayor Arlene Arcillas, presented, showcased the synergy in local governance through public and private partnership. A program, a COVID response program with synergy through partnership with the private sector, religious sectors, and marginalized sector, the transport group, within the local government units, enabling citizen participation, resulting in the pooling of resources. And then it follows by the presentation, showcase of Mayor Freddy Domingo of Pura Tarlac, which good governance is the greatest investment. Synergy with the DILG through the successful implementations of bottom-up budgeting and assistance to disadvantaged municipalities, water project, securing an uninterrupted supply of potable water, and ensuring inclusivity in terms of program implementation. Next is the presentation of Punong Barangay Menchi Rosario of Barangay Libertad, Butuan City, which highlighted Barangay Public Market Operation, the Libertad Public Market, which is started with the proper legislation through Barangay Ordinance, and later on to the execution, which identifies the importance of synergy and collaboration with the national government agencies and groups and organizations within the barangay to ensure the sustainability of barangay operation. Our goals of achieving a transparent, accountable, participative, and effective local governance as possible with collaborative synergy among national government agencies, local government units, and the community. Thank you very much.
Regional. Alright po, maraming salamat po Assistant Regional Director Noel Bartolabak for giving us a very fruitful synthesis of what had happened sa umagang ito. Alright po, so I know we're pretty sure that marami po tayong natutunan sa ating mga sharing ng mga resource speakers from the national government agencies, dadako naman sa mga local government units. So maraming salamat po sa inyo for tuning in sa pinakauna hanggang sa pinakahuli nating parte ng activity na ito. So also we would like to express our gratitude sa ating resource persons for this session, ASEC Jocelyn Niwane of Dswd, OIC RD Nympha R. Manalastas of DBM, Nurse 5 Eric Paul M. Numul of the Department of Health, of course, Governor Albert S. Garcia of Bataan, Mayor Arlene Arcillas of Santa Rosa, Laguna, Mayor Freddy D. Domingo of Pura Tarlac, and lastly, but not the least, PB Menchi Rosario of Barangay Libertad in Butuan City. So please accept our token of appreciation, our e-certificates or e-plaque, sabi nga nila, which will be sending to your respective emails. But we will also be sending yung mga physical tokens po nito of our appreciation to your respective offices. So nakita po natin na hindi naging hadlang ang pandemyang ito upang tayo ay makapag-share, makapag-collaborate ng isang napaka-fruitful at collaborative session upang tayo ay maging masuportahan ang ating sarili sa pag-transisyon sa full devolution this 2022. Muli maraming salamat po sa ating mga participants, the local chief executives, the Sanggunian members, to the local functionaries, DILG officers as well, representatives from the academe, and private organizations and community members from all over the country, from Luzon to Mindanao. Maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat. So gentle reminders lamang po to be able to get your e-certificates and avail your e-certificates rather. Kindly accomplish po ang ating feedback form and attendance form. So ito po ay pamamaraan upang kami ay makapagbigay na much better na programa sa susunod po nating sessions. So you can scan na lang po or i-type lang po ang ating bit.ly link sa ating mga web browser. We truly appreciate your feedback para po sa ikakabuti ng ating mga susunod na programa. I know you are all excited po sa ating mga succeeding sessions. So in your monitors po, makikita po natin ang schedules for the sessions this October. So on October 22, morning din po as well, we will have Synergy in Local Governance. Ngayon po, meron po tayong local edition. Sa 22 naman po, meron po tayong international edition. Ayan, so mawitness po natin ang iba't ibang konteksto at the international level. Ayan po. So sa susunod naman po, we have from on October 28, same time din po. So ito po ay gearing up for full devolution sa 2022. Alright po, ma-appreciate po namin ang inyong pag-attend sa sessions po na darating na ito. Ay maniniwala po kami ay magiging substantial ang input sa mga sessions na ito sa ating mga kanya-kanyang lokalidad. Alright po. Also, we would like to ask you to like, follow, and share our LGA Facebook page at LGA Philippines and the LGA website at www.lga.gov.ph forum to know more and get updates sa ating upcoming Philippine Local Governance Forum 2021. Again, the Philippine Local Governance Forum 2021 is brought to you by the following organizations: DILG National Barangay Operations Office, DILG Region 3, DILG Region Calabarzon, and the Local Government Academy. Before we go, bago po tayo umalis, may we invite everyone to please turn on your video camera para sa isang photo opportunity. Kung kaya po ng internet connection po natin, kindly open po ang ating mga cameras. Kung kaya po natin umite behind our masks, ayan, we truly appreciate your participation sa ating activity despite your busy schedules. Alright po? So, I believe naka-open na po ang ating mga cameras. So, tech team, kindly give us the cue. Alright po, for the first naman po, smile po tayo lahat. First slide. Alright po, second naman po, sa ating second slide, smile naman po tayo. For the third slide, ayan, ngiti po tayo kahit naka-face mask. Smile with your eyes, ika nga. Fourth slide. Ayan, fifth. Sixth slide. Seventh slide. Eighth slide. Ayan, susunod naman ang ninth slide. And of course, our last slide. Ayan, ngiti naman po tayo lahat. Ayan, muli maraming salamat po sa inyong participation sa ating activity na ito. Thank you po for smiling with your eyes kahit po and giving us your time, your valuable time in this activity. And maraming salamat din po to our resource persons. Muli, I am Mabi Castro from DILG Region 3, and we would, on behalf of the organizations that I've stated prior, we would like to express our gratitude for attending today's session. See you po sa ating next sessions, and stay safe po and God bless.